I thought the worst was behind me, but the past has a cruel way of catching up. Maria's secrets, her haunted past, began to surface, and suddenly, the fragile life I was rebuilding felt like it was teetering on the edge of a precipice. Could I handle the truth? Or was I about to lose everything all over again just when I thought I was finally safe? When Don talked about people touching him, I got really angry. Strangers were being disrespectful to my Don. I don't go out to clubs as much these days, and I would gladly skip it for Don. But sometimes a rude person would grab me, and I always made sure to shout or make a fuss. This would often bring a bouncer or even police over to help. The guys didn't really have much choice. After seeing how good Don looked last night, I could see why everyone wanted to grab him. But honestly, it was my turn. Megan and Robin finally woke up about an hour after me. Don and I told them to go in and see Kathy with a big mirror while I waited by the door with Don's camera. Kathy was too tired to scream, but she still made some sounds. That's what the undead are supposed to do, right? Later that afternoon, I took my family out shopping. Don really needed some new clothes, and I wanted to buy my daughters some nice robes and slippers. For Don's clothes, he let me choose the styles and colors, but he complained a bit too much about the prices. I gave him my "you're going too far" look to let him know. When it was time to pay, I had to give him that look again, and I even had to mention Roscoe before he would put his wallet away. I had a great day shopping. Soon, I will need to get him that Mustang. A convertible would be nice. We would look great in it. My weekend was quite eventful. Saturday night wasn't the best, but the weekend was still fun. Maria got a bit wild and bought me lots of clothes. I think she did it because of the nice jewelry I gave her for Christmas. She even got me 2 pairs of shoes, and they cost $400 each. I had no idea loafers were in style again. When we got home from shopping, I received a call from Kathy. She said she was really sorry for how our last date went and asked if we could try again next Saturday night. She said she wouldn't drink any alcohol if I would just give her another chance, so I decided to try again. A fresh start seemed nice, and I could use all the help I could get in going out with pretty women. On Monday, I met with my therapist again. This time, she wanted to discuss my father. She said, "Don, you mentioned that during your father's long sickness, you were always there for him, starting when you were just 10 years old. He shared his thoughts and tips on how to take care of your family and your future family when you got married. You even wrote down what he said, and you showed me those notes. I know you cared for your father a lot, but spending all that time with him must have been very hard for you. When people are unwell and realize their time is short, they often try harder to share their wisdom and advice. 10-year-old kids are easy to influence, especially in tough situations. Don, you are a kind person and a great caregiver. I felt like there was a warning coming. But the way you act, which your dad taught you in hard times, makes others overlook you and use you. It's not your fault that they use you. It's theirs. But it's also a sad part of being human that many people act this way, no matter whose fault it is. Wow, that was a double but. I'm not saying you should change how you act right away. That could be hard to do and might even be bad for your mental health if you try too quickly. What I do want you to do, though, is to pay attention to how you behave around other people. Just notice how they respond to what you do. If you have some very good friends, you might want to talk to them about this. They could help you notice how your actions sometimes make others not appreciate you. She didn't say anything I hadn't thought of before, but I liked being kind. If others didn't get that, well, that was their problem. We spent the rest of the time talking about my actions and why some people seemed to take advantage of me. While dancing with Maria on Wednesday night, I decided to bring up the topic my therapist had mentioned. Megan and Robin had already gone back upstairs, and we were dancing again to Moon River. Maria seemed to enjoy that song as much as I did. Maria? Yes, Don? Last Monday, I was chatting with my therapist. She said that I have a bad habit that lets people take advantage of me. She thought it might help if I talked about this with some close friends. I know we've only known each other for a little while, but do you think we are close enough to be good friends? Maria wrapped her arms around me and pulled me in tight. I felt her arms shaking a bit. Don, I really see you as a very, very close and dear friend. If you want to talk about anything, I would be really happy to listen. That sounded like a yes, so I shared everything my therapist and I had discussed. Don, what you shared about your father's death helps me understand your actions better. As for pointing out things you do that make it easy for people you've known for a long time to take advantage of you, that will be tricky, but I will do my best. Everyone, including me, has seen this part of your character since we first met you. We have tried to not use your kindness too much, but we still find ourselves doing it. It feels like it's just a part of who you are, this warm kindness and the quiet way you handle things. We know you'll always finish what you start, no matter how tough it gets. The best way we could think to show our gratitude for your kindness was to try to be just as kind and generous to you. For the rest of the dance lesson, we didn't really dance much. Instead, we held each other close and moved slowly across the floor. Maria had the CD player set to play our song over and over. We finally took a break when Robin asked us to come upstairs and watch some movies. We both felt a little shy about it. Maria is truly a great friend. On Thursday, I got the chance to practice sparring with my tenant, Phil. My days had been really packed recently, so we had gone from sparring 3 times a week to just once a week most of the time. I had to be really careful not to use too much strength. He was faster and had better skills, but when I did land a hit, it usually ended the match quickly. If he wasn't so great at dodging, I would win much more often. Saturday night was my special date with Kathy. I cooked a nice prime rib for dinner and the special cake for dessert, just like she asked. Once again, Maria and Kathy chose the clothes they wanted me to wear. At least the new pants were much more comfortable this time. I didn't feel like I was being poked with every step. We visited 2 clubs and only drank soda water. Kathy took me to some calmer clubs this time. We could talk without yelling, which was nice. I had a good time and was really enjoying myself. She even started to show me how to dance to the newer music. After we left the second club, Kathy looked at me a bit unsure and asked me something unusual. Don, can I ask you for a favor? There's a secret party club I've wanted to visit for a long time. Would you take me there tonight? I know where it's supposed to be this month. It has a bad reputation, but could you please take me there? It will just be for a quick drink, but I'm really curious to see what it's like. Kathy, I'm not comfortable with the idea of taking you to an illegal place. I've heard too many scary stories. You can call me weak or scared if you want, but staying away from places like that is a smart way to avoid problems. Come on, Don. My friends have been there, and I just want to check it out. Kathy. Please, Don, please. I really want to see it just once so I can say I've been there. She looked at me with big, hopeful eyes. Kathy is someone I never expected to ask like that. I knew I shouldn't have agreed to take her, but I did anyway, even though I felt really uneasy about it. I had heard some bad stories about places like this. All right, but you have to promise to stay by my side, I told her. I promise, she said, skipping ahead like a happy child. The place we arrived at was an old warehouse, and the parking lot was crowded. We had to pay a $40 entrance fee at the door. When we walked in, I was surprised by what I saw. The music was extremely loud, and the crowd was wild. There were at least 3 tall platforms with cages. Inside the cages were women in revealing outfits. 2 of the women I noticed were dancing, while the third was sitting on a chair and using a toy. I leaned down to Kathy's ear and said, "They must be getting paid a lot for this." "No, I heard they are all customers. They just join in when they arrive. I think they like to show off, and this is how they enjoy themselves." I suppose people have different tastes. At the bottom of each platform stood some very big men, 1 on each platform. I thought they might be there to keep the women safe, which made me feel a bit better about the situation. Still, I couldn't shake my worry for Kathy. Some of the legal clubs we had visited made me feel very uneasy, but this place was even worse. It made me feel on edge, like I could sense danger all around me. I wanted to get Kathy out of this loud, crazy, and shady club and back to a safe spot. I tend to be very worried about my friends and family. Kathy and I pushed through the crowd and grabbed a couple of sodas. For a moment, she was away from me, surrounded by 3 college guys. They stood close to her, and it looked like they knew exactly what they were doing. This made me feel uneasy deep down. I wanted to get closer to her, but then they pulled away and mixed into the crowd. That event made me uneasy for the rest of the night. It took me back to a time long ago when 3 troublemakers tried to grab Barbara. We sipped our sodas and danced to a few songs. After a while, we felt we had enough fun and it was time to leave. Don, I'm not feeling great. I feel a bit strange and I'm a little dizzy. I'm going to the restroom and I'll be back soon, she said. I walked with her to the restroom door, which was in a narrow hallway at the back of the building. I tried to wait for her right there. Across from the restroom door was the entrance to the men's room. The hallway between the two doors went a little further before ending at an exit door. A security guard stood in front of that exit door. There were a lot of people, especially women, all trying to get to the restrooms. I got pushed around and ended up being pushed back almost 20 feet, but I kept my eyes on that door. When Kathy finally came out, she was holding her head and looked a bit unsteady. Just then, the men's room door opened. The 3 college guys from earlier came out, grabbed Kathy, and hurried her out the back door, right past the bouncer. He didn't do anything to help her. He even stepped aside so they could pass. As soon as they grabbed her, I rushed forward. The bouncer tried to block my path. "Hey, you can't go through that door. You need to." I didn't stop to argue with him. It was clear he was part of this because he let them take Kathy without trying to stop it. I was moving quickly and with force. I think he got a hit in before I grabbed his face and pushed the back of his head hard against the wall. After that, I ran out the door. I found myself in a narrow, dead-end alley. It was dark there, but a light above a door let me see that there were many big metal trash bins and one parked car. 2 of the rude guys were putting Kathy, who was weakly fighting back, into the back seat of the car. The 3rd guy was getting into the driver's seat. The alley had a curved shape, with the car parked in the very bottom part of it. I knew I couldn't stop a car, but I could use the dumpsters. There was one close by, so I quickly released the brakes on the wheels on my side. Then I pushed it as hard as I could to block the car in. I understood that it wouldn't be enough on its own, but the driver looked hesitant to hit his car at first, so he didn't move. I quickly pushed the other 3 dumpsters next to the first one, completely blocking the car in. Now they were stuck, and the way the dumpsters were arranged meant that if the car pushed against them, the dumpsters would shove against the hard walls of the alley and stay stuck there. I took out my cell phone and called 911. I told the police about the kidnapping. I gave them our location, the car's license number, my name, Kathy's name, and how many kidnappers there were. The police told me to stay on the line and that they would come soon. I said there wasn't time because it was happening at that moment. I kept my cell phone on and put it down near the wall in the alley, close to a small piece of concrete. I grabbed the block and ran toward the stuck car. Even though the driver was in trouble, he started rocking the car back and forth when he saw me coming. This made it hard for me to get close. I waited for my chance, then jumped onto the back of the car. From the trunk, I quickly climbed over the roof to the front. Finally, I used my left hand to hold on to the windshield wipers or the edge of the hood. I took my right hand and the piece of wood, and I began to hit the windshield. I thought about breaking the driver's side window instead. That might have been quicker, but it would be harder and riskier to reach the driver while I was on the car's hood. I could hear Kathy faintly shouting from inside the vehicle. The car was stuck so tightly that it could only move a few feet back and forth and just a little from side to side. Still, there was no way I could stay on the ground safely. The car was jolting back and forth, hitting the dumpsters, which in turn were banging against the walls of the alley. It was a scary ride, made worse by the loud screeches and crashing sounds from the impacts with the dumpsters. The bumpy car ride almost made me fall off several times, but I somehow held on. I wasn't worried about myself. I was worried about Kathy. It felt like she was trapped inside a loud, angry monster that I had to break open to rescue her. Nobody hurts my family and friends. With anger, I kept hitting the windshield until I made a hole in it. The 3 guys inside were shouting in a total panic. When I first saw them in the club, they didn't seem like the kind of people who would have guns. I was really relieved that I was right about that. To them, this might have just been some kind of game, without thinking about how their actions affected someone else. But now, things were getting serious, and they were about to face a big problem. Me! I thought about why they didn't just get out of the car and find something to use against me, like a tire iron. It wouldn't have gone well, even if they tried. As soon as they stopped the car and got out, I would have become very strong and angry. I was much tougher than most guys, and there was no way I would hold back like I do when I practice with Phil. Maybe they could feel that, or maybe they just didn't know how to fight and were scared. With a fast move, I reached through the hole and hit the driver in the face with my piece of concrete. He tried to move away, but I hit him hard on the left side of his face and he yelled out. While he was momentarily surprised, the car came to a stop. I quickly smashed the driver's side window and was shocked at how easily it broke. Are they supposed to do that? Meanwhile, Kathy was yelling, and the other two guys were shouting nonsense. I wasn't really listening to what they were saying. I got off the car hood, reached inside, and pressed the unlock button. Then I slammed the driver's door open as hard as I could, wishing I could break it off. I had heard of people doing that before. I didn't quite manage it, but I was sure that door would never shut right again. I reached into the car, grabbed the keys from the ignition, and tossed them away. The driver was curled up on the far side, holding his bleeding face and groaning softly. The last two troublemakers in the back seat with Kathy fiddled with the rear door locks, trying to stop me from reaching them. They shouted and yelled at me, but I didn't have time to pay attention. After a few moments of pressing the unlock button on the driver's door, thankfully, I hadn't broken it, I waited until the right moment and got the back door open. Kathy was stuck between two troublemakers. I took hold of the one nearest to me and pushed him hard against the wall of the alley. He hit the wall with a loud thud and fell to the ground. The other guy was still grabbing onto Kathy, trying to use her to protect himself. I leaned past Kathy, grabbed him by the throat with one hand, and started to bang his head against the car window until he let go of her. Then I quickly pulled Kathy out of the car and carried her to safety. She was crying really hard. I thought that when those three shady guys surrounded her at the club, they must have put something in her drink. You hear stories like that a lot these days. Then they just sat back, waiting for their moment. It probably didn't help that Kathy hadn't had any alcohol all night. When I got to the wall near my cell phone, I leaned against it and slowly sat down in the dirty alley. I held Kathy close with my left arm while I picked up my cell phone with my right hand. My hands were a mess, but I could still use them. I went back to the phone and told them what was happening. I asked them to send the police and an ambulance. Kathy was shivering and crying the whole time, saying thank you now and then. I was shaking a lot too because I was so scared for her. I was also worried about the blood on my hands. I was scared that I might get weak from losing too much blood and that I wouldn't be able to help Kathy until the police came. I thought about running to my car, but the place felt so dangerous that I didn't want to risk it. I also wanted to stay close because I knew those three bad guys were still stuck in the back of the alley, and I wanted them caught and sent to jail. The first police cars got there just 5 minutes after I saved Kathy. 4 police officers rushed into the alley with their guns ready. I was too worn out to say much, just managed to say, hello. They wanted to ask me questions apart from Kathy, but she wouldn't let go of me. When they tried to pull her away, she yelled loudly. Since it was clear that she was the one in trouble, they decided to be gentle with her and stepped back. It was a good thing they stepped in because I was about to do something really foolish to make them leave me alone. I shared my story and said that the bouncer must have helped. That part caught their attention. Then, just before the ambulance took us to the hospital, they tried to split us up again. In the end, I rode in the ambulance sitting on a stretcher with Kathy in my lap. The helpers looked worried about my hands, which were bleeding a lot. Even so, they kept working. I decided to call Freddie at her house. Luckily, she picked up the phone. I shared some of what was going on and asked her to come to the hospital right away to support Kathy. Kathy would need all the help she could get after her scary experience. At the hospital, Kathy wouldn't let go of me. The nurses were trying hard to help her, but I had to firmly ask them to hold off until Kathy's friend got there. I was taken aback when I saw that Vanessa was the first one to walk in. 5 minutes later, Freddie came in too. They gently took Kathy from my arms, and Vanessa held her close. The nurses had already collected some blood from Kathy to find out what she had been given. Then, they turned their attention to my hands. They even set me up with an IV. I got 37 stitches in my right hand and 18 in my left to fix up some cuts. Luckily, most of them were not too deep. My hands were also swollen and bruised because I had used them in a rough way. While the doctors were helping me, my phone rang. It was Maria, and Freddie picked it up. Freddie was living with me while Vanessa was with Kathy. Freddie talked for a while before she put the phone to my ear. I only managed to say hello. I was so tired and a bit confused, so I asked Freddie to take the phone back. Where were they? It was nearly 4:30 in the morning and they still weren't back. I had waited long enough, so I decided to call Don's cell phone. Hello? Don, are you there? Hi, Maria, it's me, Freddie. I have Don's phone. What are you doing with Don's phone? Are Don and Kathy all right? What happened? They're both fine now, but it was a really scary situation. Don didn't call you because you were busy with Megan and Robin. There was no way for you to get to the hospital without stressing them out. The hospital? Some bad people gave Kathy drugs and tried to take her away. Thankfully, Don acted quickly and stopped them. They took Kathy to the hospital to make sure she was okay after what happened. Don hurt his hands a little and needed some stitches. If all goes well, we should have everyone back home in about an hour to an hour and a half. Here, let me put you on the phone with Don. Hi, Maria. I'm sorry to make you worried. How are you and the kids? Don, we're fine, but what about you? I'm okay, just very tired. Freddie, can you talk to her for me? I'm sorry, Maria. Don is really worn out. They gave him some medicine for the pain, and I think it's making him drowsy. Don called me to come to the hospital and help Kathy because she was really upset. I called Vanessa, and she met me there. We would have called you sooner, but we've been very busy. I'm sorry. That's all right, but please get back to me quickly. I don't want Megan and Robin to start worrying. I was really angry. Don and Kathy were hurt, and he never reached out to me. I didn't know whether to cry or shout at him. After taking some deep breaths to relax, I began to understand why he hadn't called me. He was probably worried that Megan and Robin would overhear him. Still, it hurt. Didn't he realize how I felt? I spent a long, tense hour waiting for them. I looked out the apartment window constantly, counting the minutes. Finally, I saw both Vanessa's and Freddie's cars arrive. Vanessa rushed over to Freddie's car and helped Don out of the back seat. Why did he need help if it was just a few stitches? Freddie tried to assist Kathy, but she quickly moved to Don's other side to help him too. Don looked like he could walk, but I was confused about what was happening. I decided to step outside and see for myself, still in my bathrobe. Don, Kathy, are you both okay? Kathy replied, I'm fine, but Don's hands are really hurt, and he feels a bit dizzy from the medicine, losing some blood and not getting enough sleep. Blood loss? What was going on? Drugs? Don pushed back against Kathy, saying, I'm okay, really, I just need some sleep. I thought it was best to hold off on asking too many questions until we got them settled inside and Don was in bed. We helped Don into the house and laid him down. He struggled to take off his pants because of his hands, so I made sure to help him with that. As soon as his head hit the pillow, he fell asleep. We quietly slipped out of the room. I wanted to shout at my friends and ask them what was going on, but I chose to stay quiet instead, clenching my teeth. I asked everyone to sit around the dining room table. Before we talk about tonight, Kathy, are you ready to share how you feel about it now? I think it's best if I just say what I need to say now. I can't seem to sleep at all, and I bet you're eager to hear about Don. Sure, but first, would anyone like some tea and cake before we talk? I knew it was silly to think about food at a time like this, but I needed a little distraction to calm myself down. Also, a snack might help everyone else feel more at ease, especially Kathy. When I saw 3 people nod, I got everything ready before taking a seat. The table was buzzing with noise as I made our snack. I listened with one ear, but the talk was all mixed up and I couldn't really understand it. Can you please start over, Kathy? I don't get some of what you're saying. Sure. After the second club we visited, I remembered that we were near a hidden club I've wanted to check out for a long time. Some of my friends at school had gone, and I was quite curious about it. I had a reputation as a tough girl, but I had never experienced it myself. So I convinced Don to take me, even though he didn't really want to go. We had only been drinking soda water that night, and I assured Don that we would only stay for a little while. We picked up our drinks from the bar when, out of nowhere, 3 young men in nice clothes came up to us. They pushed and pulled me, making it hard to focus. I think that's when they put something in my drink. They seemed to know what they were doing because they slipped in between Don and me, tampered with my drink, and disappeared into the crowd before we knew anything was wrong. After dancing to a few songs, Don and I decided it was time to leave. I felt dizzy and like I might be sick, so I went to the bathroom first. I wish I could have thrown up. Maybe then it would have helped me feel better. I got really scared in the bathroom because everything felt so weird. I came out looking for Don. The hallway was crowded, and I think Don got pushed back a little by all the people trying to get to the restrooms. When I stepped outside, 3 guys grabbed me and quickly took me out the back door. The guard who was standing there didn't do anything. It felt like he was part of it too. The 2 people in the back seat with me yelled at the driver to get us out of here, but the driver shouted back that he couldn't damage his mom's car. Vanessa, Freddie, and I looked at each other, feeling shocked. What a sad group of would-be troublemakers. Someone outside pushed some dumpsters and trapped us in really tight. I understand now that was Don. Suddenly the whole car shook as Don jumped on the back, went over the top, and landed on the front. He hit the windshield with his fist, smashing it. The kids inside the car were screaming with fear. They shouted things like, "What are we going to do? We're sorry, and we'll let her go." I was calling out for Don to help me. Don was shouting that he would make them pay. He warned them that he would hurt them badly if they touched me. All the while, he kept hitting the windshield. I could see blood on the windshield from Don's hands. It felt like I was in a scary movie, but the monster was trying to break into the car to help me. Then Don smashed the windshield and hit the driver on the side of his face. Blood splattered into the back seat, and that's when those guys lost it. They were probably scared, thinking that Don was about to really hurt them. It started to smell really bad back there. I think they had an accident. Don broke the window on the driver's side and pulled the door off. Then he opened the back door and did the same thing. The 2 guys with me were trying to escape, but they couldn't open the passenger door on the other side because the car was too close to the wall of the alley. Don grabbed the guy nearest to him and just tossed him aside, like throwing a bag of trash into a garbage bin. He reached in with his bloody hands and grabbed the other guy. He began slamming his head against the passenger door window. It was really scary, and Don looked like a wild animal ready to attack. Even I felt afraid at that moment. When the man holding me finally let go, Don carefully pulled me from the car. His whole attitude changed. He was trying to calm me down and make me feel safe. I realized that Don thought I had been given something because of how I acted before. But even though I was feeling strange, my mind was clear. I could still think well. Maybe the stuff they gave me works better if a person has been drinking, or maybe I didn't get enough of it. It's hard to say. He moved me away from the car and carried me a little way until we found a place to sit. Then he called the police. They arrived very fast. Don was holding me securely on his lap. I felt really scared and shaken up, and there was no way I was going to let him go. Don looked nervous too. He was likely feeling a rush of adrenaline. The police and the emergency workers tried to pull us apart, but I held on tight until Vanessa and Freddie arrived at the hospital. I feel bad about this. If I had let go sooner, they could have started helping Don right away, and he wouldn't have lost so much blood. Freddie, Vanessa, and I were all shocked by Kathy's story. We turned together to look at Don's bedroom, curious about what was resting inside. I remembered a tale about Barbara's rescue when Don was still a teenager from the investigation about him. What kind of man was I interested in? I knew he was a hero, but still, someone who can do those things can be a bit scary. I shouldn't have these thoughts about Don, but I couldn't help it. Then Kathy said something that changed my mind and made me feel better. "Maria, you don't need to worry about me. I would never try to take him from you. But I am now a big fan of Don. He is more than a bad boy for me. If you decide you don't want him anymore, or if things go wrong between you two, I want a chance with him." Vanessa spoke out at that moment, making her feelings and opinions very clear to everyone. It felt like someone had splashed cold water on me. "Come on, Maria. Sure, Don can be a tough guy sometimes, but he's your tough guy, and he only acts that way to keep people safe." The idea of Don banging on a car window with his bare hands until they were bleeding and tearing off doors was frightening. He would likely have done something similar for you. But why did that last thought make me feel an unexpected thrill? My breath quickened and I felt a strange warmth inside. From the side, I noticed Freddie with her face in her hands. She shook her head back and forth and laughed a little too wildly. Freddie was the first of my friends to show any romantic feelings for Don, but she also seemed a bit less affected by his charm. Even the strong Professor Kathy, known for her short relationships, had fallen for him. If Don suddenly came forward in a strong, bold way and shouted, "I want love," Freddie might be the only one who wouldn't react. Of course, in that case, I would have to think of a way to handle my competition. Oh no, I left my new big stick at my house in the mountains. I really should introduce my friends to Roscoe. Things got a bit worse when Kathy set off another landmine. Maria, I need a big favor. Can I sleep in Don's bed tonight? We all looked at her in surprise. I started to shake my head, but she quickly spoke again. Don is really tired, and I just mean sleeping. Right now, I don't think I can fall asleep without Don close by. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I have a plan. You'll be with us too. You can lie in the middle while we sleep on top of the sheets. I need him close to me for just one night. Vanessa doesn't make me feel as safe as Don does. I also worry about his hands. Just give me one night to cool off, please, please, Kathy begged. Then she pulled out her secret weapon, her famous puppy dog eyes. She rarely used them, which made them even more powerful. I couldn't help but think that this must be how she convinced Don to go to that shady club. In the end, I said yes, but I had my own reasons. I wanted to be close to Don, and I couldn't tell if I was looking after Kathy or if she was looking after me. Vanessa and Freddie stayed the night too, but they slept in the girls' room since the girls were in my room. Robin woke up in bed and was surprised to see that only Megan was there. Maria had already left. She let Megan sleep and went to brush her teeth, which felt really dirty this morning. Yuck! The apartment was super quiet for 9 a.m. Daddy usually gets up much earlier. Still in her pajamas, she went to the kitchen to see if anyone was there. There was no one around and no signs of breakfast, just some dirty plates from cake and coffee cups in the sink. What was happening? She walked back toward the bedrooms and slowly opened her father's bedroom door. She peeked inside and saw him sleeping in bed with Maria and Kathy. What was going on? She quickly ran back to Maria's room to tell Megan. Shaking her hard, she shouted, "Megan, you have to get up right now! Megan, wake up! It's important! Wake up, Megan!" "All right, I'm awake. Can I sleep a bit more now?" "Daddy, Maria and Kathy are sleeping in the same bed." Megan instantly opened her eyes wide. "What did you just say?" "You heard me! They're all in the same bed! What are we going to do?" Megan quickly grabbed her new robe and rushed out of the bedroom with Robin right behind her. As she ran, Megan thought that if it was just Maria, she would be excited and trying to handle it with her little sister. Maria and Kathy are there, and Robin saw them first. Wow, has Dad really changed that much? I need to find out. She slowly opened her dad's door and peeked in. Then she looked closer at what was happening. It seems like they are just sleeping. Maria and Kathy are in their pajamas, and it looks like they are resting on the top sheet while Dad is under it. It doesn't seem like anything strange happened. What happened last night? "Megan, what do you think?" Robin whispered. "I'm not sure. Let's let them sleep. I think we should get dressed." Robin followed Megan to their room, only to find Vanessa and Freddie asleep in their beds. What happened last night? The two girls decided they needed to talk about it. Megan went to wake up Vanessa, her closest friend, while Robin went to wake Freddie, who she felt closest to after Maria. The two women were surprised to find themselves in a strange bedroom, but they quickly remembered what had happened. Megan and Robin wanted to know why they were there. Freddie stopped them, saying, "Please be quiet. Your dad, Kathy, and Maria had a rough night. They need to rest. Get ready, and we'll take you out for breakfast. Don't worry. We'll share all the details while we're driving. Everything is okay now, and everyone is safe, but they really need to rest. Okay, let's get dressed quietly and sneak out together." Freddie insisted he wouldn't say anything until they were outside. The two girls hurried to get ready while Vanessa and Freddie took their toothbrushes from their bags and tried to freshen up. As they walked to the restaurant, Vanessa shared what had happened, which made Megan and Robin react with surprise. Megan gasped. "Kathy was taken and hurt!" Robin shouted. "Dad broke a car window?" Vanessa repeated. "Yes, and that's not easy to do with just your hand." "I thought your dad would hurt his hand first instead of breaking the car window. Then he punched the driver through the shattered glass. After that, he pulled off the driver's door and the back door. He took one of the guys from the back seat and tossed him out like he was a piece of trash. Then he got into the back seat and pushed away the man who was holding Kathy. He set her free and took her with him." Megan quickly went back to the bad words that Maria had been trying to help her stop using. "Wow, that was crazy!" she exclaimed. At first, Robin just nodded in agreement. "Yeah," she said. But then a big grin appeared on her face as she added playfully, I think I'll buy him Superman or Batman pajamas, and I'll ask Maria and Roscoe to help me make him wear them. I'll even get the kind with the little shoes, too. He'll look so cute. Megan smiled at her sister's fun idea, and they gave each other a high five. Just wait until we tell our friends at school about this. Some of them had said mean things about their dad since the divorce, calling him silly and worse. This will make them think twice. They won't tease a guy who can pull doors off cars. I woke up in the morning, or maybe it was early afternoon since we stayed up late. I found myself on my side, cuddled up to Don with my left arm over him, but there was still a sheet between us. I enjoyed feeling close to him, my breath gently touching his face. Did I brush my teeth last night? I hope my breath isn't too bad. It would be awful if my breath was so bad it woke him up. He might not want to be close to me again. Thankfully, he was still sleeping. I felt relieved. I spent my time either looking at his peaceful face or closing my eyes and enjoying being near him. About an hour later, Kathy woke up to go to the bathroom. I kept my eyes shut, pretending to be asleep. When she got into bed, she leaned over and whispered in my ear, "I know you're awake, you sneak." She laughed softly and then tried to get comfortable to sleep again. Finally, Don woke up and had a hard time sitting up because of his injured hands. As soon as I saw that he was waking up, I took my arm away and pretended to be asleep. But when I saw he was struggling, I woke up to help him. "Don, do you need help?" "Oh, Maria, I really appreciate you being here with me tonight, but I'm just in my boxers." Typical Don. He always seemed to misunderstand things and wanted to look good in any situation. Then he got a bit embarrassed about me seeing him in his boxers, which I've already seen before. I stopped him because he was getting a bit flustered. "Honestly, I wish we could talk more openly soon. Don, remember, I've seen you in your boxers before. Just stay there and I'll bring your bathrobe. Then I can help you sit up so you can put it on while you're sitting. If you'd like, you can keep the sheet over your lap. I'll close my eyes when you stand up to put on the bathrobe. It'll be simple. Maria, Don, please don't make me go get Roscoe or worse, Megan and Robin," I said in a tired voice. "You need help, and I'm going to help you whether you like it or not." I took his robe and decided to do things my way. Maybe I didn't keep my eyes shut as tight as I should have, but I needed to make sure Don was steady on his feet, didn't I? Especially after how dizzy he felt last night. I noticed that Don was looking a bit awkward in his boxers, but I focused on making sure he was okay. I hoped that Kathy didn't see what happened. I really wanted to take it home and have fun with it and him all night. I hadn't felt this kind of stiffness in a long time. It was strong enough to wake me up, like when I was a teenager. I needed to go to the bathroom. Maybe that would help ease the tension. As I tried to lift myself up with my hands, I realized they hurt. I had forgotten about the bad dream I had last night. I wasn't sure what hurt more, my hands or my body. I was trying to do a sit-up on my bed, but it was a tough spot. Then I heard, "Don, can I help you? Wow, Maria is in my bed. What is happening? Wait, she must have stayed to check on me. That has to be it." It was a really awkward moment. I had a strong reaction that felt like it had a mind of its own, and beside me was a beautiful woman who was just a friend, lying in my bed. I quickly turned onto my side and messed up the blankets to cover my embarrassment. Everything went well after that. Maria thought of a way that helped me hide my embarrassment without her knowing the truth. I could quietly go to the bathroom without losing my pride. Now, if only I could find a way to clean myself with these bandaged hands, I would be good to go. Kathy quickly got off the bed when Don entered the bathroom. I think Don was so caught up in his own problems that he didn't even realize Kathy was there. Right before she walked out, she turned to me with a smile and held her hands apart by about a foot. I knew then that my hope for her not seeing it was gone. It wasn't huge, but it was still big enough for me. I ran after her, surprised. "Kathy, you seem to be in a good mood this morning, especially after what happened last night. Sorry to be direct, but what's going on?" "I do feel pretty good, and I've been thinking about it too. There are 4 reasons I can think of. First, Don saved me. Don stood up for me. It might not have been the best way to handle things, but he defended me against those bad guys, and that makes me happy. They didn't have the chance to hurt me, just to see me in a way that made me uncomfortable. I was truthful about my feelings from last night. I needed to feel close to Don, and being near him helped me relax. It let me sleep and gave me a moment to think clearly about what happened and how I felt afterward. I'm not saying I'm completely okay, but I'm doing really well right now, and I'm both happy and proud of that. Just as Kathy wrapped up her story, Megan, Robin, Vanessa, and Freddie came in through the front door. Freddie said she didn't want to interrupt us, so instead of making noise in the kitchen, everyone went out for breakfast. Megan and Robin then made Kathy tell her story again, but this time she changed it to make it more family-friendly. They were really proud of their dad's bravery. Don finally came out in his sweatpants and a t-shirt. It seemed like those were the only clothes he could put on with his hands. I cooked pancakes and bacon for the three of us. Since it was hard for him to use a knife and fork, Megan and Robin insisted on feeding their dad. They were very focused and serious about it. They made sure to give him small bites of food. My girls were really sweet. Vanessa, Freddie, and Kathy left early that afternoon. Kathy didn't want to go, but she had schoolwork to finish. My daughters and I looked after Don for the rest of the day by feeding him, helping him take his medicine, and giving him ice packs to reduce the swelling. Don would need to stay home from work tomorrow because he couldn't do anything with his hands still so swollen. I planned to spend Monday night taking care of Don, of course. Megan and Robin wanted to stay the night instead of going back to their mom's house. I felt a little frustrated because this was a great chance to be alone with Don, but my girls had made that impossible. Their choice made sense, though. Megan called Barbara to let her know that they wouldn't be home after school on Monday. She said they needed to help their dad, who had been hurt. I was shocked when Megan gave the phone to Don, saying her mom wanted to talk to him. He took the phone into his bedroom to chat privately. Megan and Robin really scared me. They called me on Sunday night to say they wouldn't be home on Monday and might not come back until Thursday night. When I asked what was going on, they told me their dad had been hurt and they had to look after him. I couldn't believe it. I was so worried. How badly was he hurt? Did it have to do with the problem with the cheater he told me about a few weeks ago? How was he feeling hurt? My friends stuck to their promise to their dad and wouldn't tell me anything. I really needed to talk to Don. He didn't want to, but finally told me he hurt his hands. They were swollen and had some cuts. He needed a few stitches, but it wasn't about the person who had cheated him before. What hurt me the most was when I suggested I could come and help him, with no expectations at all. He quickly turned me down. The man who had always been my support and comfort for so long wouldn't let me help him at all. After that phone call, I broke down in tears. It hit me hard that he would never be there for me again when I needed him. My actions had broken everything we shared. This made me sure that I needed to keep my appointment with a new therapist. So I went to see a team of therapists, and my first appointment with them was on Tuesday night. They were a special couple who worked together to help their patients. I had heard some whispers about them and tried to learn more on my own, but I didn't find much. They kept to themselves, but people said they got results when no one else could. "Hello, Miss Hendricks. I'm Gail Pone, and this is my husband, Paul Pone. How can we help you?" "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Pone. Please just call me Barbara." To put it simply, I messed up my marriage, my family, and my life by being unfaithful. I've heard about your good reputation, and I want to reclaim as much of my old life as I can. They looked at each other with a look that said, "Oh, not another one." Paul began to speak. "Barbara, we're not here to work miracles, but we will try our best to help if you can pay for our services. You need to know that we are not inexpensive." The key questions after that are, how many kids do you have with your husband? What is your marriage status? And how long have you been unfaithful to him, and with how many different people? I started to cry and said, "I've been divorced from Don for almost 3 years. We have 2 lovely daughters. I was unfaithful for over 3 years, and I was with 24 different people." Gail and Paul shared another knowing glance. Gail said, "Barbara, you probably reached out to us because we are known for helping people with troubled marriages like yours. One reason we have done well is that Paul and I both went through the pain of having unfaithful partners in our first marriages. We use methods that other therapists usually don't accept. Because of this, many in our field do not accept us either. Honestly, we often think about whether today might be the day we lose our ability to do our jobs. Some therapists believe that when a partner cheats, both people share the blame. They help couples by encouraging forgiveness and understanding. We also do that when it fits the situation. But when it doesn't feel right, we try 2 other methods: finding balance, and applying consequences. In our meetings with some of our patients, who are usually the unfaithful partner, we work to help them find ways to make things right with their spouse or ex-spouse. For example, we might talk about a 40-year-old man who has been seeing a 30-year-old woman for 2 months. If his wife is open to it, which often she is not, he will look for a 30-year-old man that she can spend time with for 6 months. You will see that it takes 3 times longer to find balance than the time of the man's affair. We often use this ratio because we learned that a 1-to-1 ratio does not help the partner who was hurt. This is one way to create balance. Money can be another issue. Sometimes we really have to think hard to find a way that makes the hurt partner feel better without hurting their pride. Then there's the thought of revenge or punishment. The unfaithful partner should face some sort of consequence, something more than just the guilt of knowing they've hurt their spouse and their marriage. Often the hurt partner can cause this pain to themselves. For example, there was a man who did not want to have his own relationship while still being married to his unfaithful wife. He believed that it would bring shame to himself. It was challenging to find a way to help that couple, but we managed. In the end, he decided to think about getting back together with her, but he would not punish her. Instead, the wife decided to take responsibility for her actions in a way that has become very common among our patients. It is almost seen as a traditional approach now. This well-known method has 3 main parts. First, the person at fault should always agree to the wishes of their partner. Second, they should choose a lasting sign to show their loyalty to their partner. Sometimes people even get a mark to show that they belong to their partner. Third, they must give up their personal space for a long time. This can be done easily today with GPS devices and modern listening tools. Their marriage is still facing challenges, but at least they are still together. These new methods don't help all the time. The spouse who was hurt has a lot to handle. They must deal with feelings of betrayal and shame. They may also feel like they are not enough and believe they can never make their partner as happy as someone else did. They also feel they have been let down because their partner was unfaithful. That's just one of their many feelings. Barbara, your marriage has been broken for a long time and your actions have hurt it deeply. We can't really help you with what you want. So, with that in mind, what do you want us to do? I have to admit, her words hit me hard. I had been hoping that they could help me with something amazing, and I felt bad for reaching out too late. My divorce lawyer had told me about them a long time ago. What Gail said, though, was pretty much what I had expected by now. Gail, I need help with 3 things that you might be able to assist me with. I really need your help to fix my relationship with my daughters. I also want to feel better about myself and maybe, if it's possible, to lessen the anger my ex-husband has towards me. Saying my ex-husband for the first time hurt deeply and I felt like crying from the pain. We can probably help with that, Barbara, but you need to share everything with us, and it will take some time. Months, in fact. We charge $600 for each session, and you will need 2 sessions a week for as long as necessary. So it adds up. We are quite pricey. Do you still want our help? That's okay. I can pay for it. Can we start right away? They both nodded, and I began to share the difficult story of my married life. I would have gladly paid $1 million to have Don back in my life in any way. The medicine and ice packs were working well to bring down the swelling in Don's hands. At this pace, he should be fine by Tuesday evening. It's frustrating. I won't have a reason to stay over again. The stitches should come out in about a week, too. We didn't have any plans for my place in the mountains this weekend. This time of year always brings muddy weather. My horses should be back in their mountain stables by the end of May or the start of June. To make things even worse, I won't have a reason to visit Don and the kids this weekend. Maria, I had an idea. What is it, Don? Megan and Robin really like spending time with you. Since we're not going to the mountains this weekend, I thought I could cook the turkey here on Saturday. Did I just hear an eagle screech? Or is it just me? Would you like to come over this Saturday? I know the girls would really enjoy meeting you. Don, I would be so happy to spend the weekend with you. I didn't think I could smile this big. I know he didn't ask me to spend the whole weekend with him, but knowing Don, he might think I got it wrong, and that means Maria wins again. I can even bring the cheesecake if you want. Ah, the sound of cows in the morning is lovely. Much better than the smell of cows in the morning. Wait a minute. Don looks very odd. Is he going to fix my little mistake? Maybe I went too far this time? Maria, this is a really weird question, but did you hear cows mooing just a minute ago? Yes, 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 I'm not the only one who's a bit silly. We could be a great pair. Much better than he was with Barbara. Moria, Moria, Moria. Suddenly I imagined cows dancing in my mind. I turned to him and chose not to answer that question. Anyway, I really want you to bring the cheesecake. He looked at me with the same confused expression. I need to remember to ask him that once we're happily married. Don, do you hear cows when someone talks about the cheesecake? I'm still trying to perfect my new lemon meringue pie recipe, but it needs a lot more work. I started to think about what sound might be linked to the lemon meringue pie when Don gets it just right. I believe he will. I suppose I'll just have to be patient and see. It's funny how I never hear turkeys when turkey comes up in conversation. On Tuesday night after dinner, I decided to leave Don alone. He just didn't pick up on any of the hints I was giving to show that I wanted to stay. Yet, he had clearly said I could stay any time I wanted. Maybe he thought that if I really wanted to, I would just do it? Then on Thursday, I made a big mistake. I told Freddie that Don was cooking the turkey, thinking that she wouldn't mind since she's a vegetarian. I was completely wrong. Freddie enjoys any meal she doesn't have to prepare. So, she told Kathy and Vanessa, and they both quickly called Don to see if they could join. After saying yes to their clear pleading, Don needed to call Freddie to invite her, since everyone else was joining. He promised her Dungeness crab for dinner, just like Freddie had wanted all along. Inside, I felt a sense of relief that Freddie had reached out to Kathy about the turkey. She had been keeping her distance from us since her close call with danger, and I had been really worried about her. She came over for dinner, but we didn't talk about that awful night. I wasn't sure if I should make her discuss it. Aside from that, it was another great weekend. Don's hands felt much better, and we played games, watched movies, and danced on the new dance floor. We also went out to see a few new films and enjoyed a lot of snacks. I was convincing my friends to get back to their own lives, and Don's cooking was just pulling them in, like bait for hungry sharks. On Saturday night, Don excitedly shared how he was getting ready to build a new apartment building. He was working on the last details and money for it, and he planned to start construction in a few months. But then, early on Sunday afternoon, trouble arrived and Don's phone rang. "Hello, this is Don Hendricks." "Hello, Ava." "Yes, I remember you. How have you been?" "Your kind words mean a lot to me. No, like I said before, Vanessa is just a good friend. About this Thursday night, is that when you want to meet?" "Yes, I'm usually free on Thursdays." My friends looked worried, and my hands were tight from holding them so hard. "What type of club is it?" I asked. "Jazz," you replied. "I'd love to go." "Great. I'll see you at your club at 7, and we can go from there." "Thanks for inviting me, Eva. I'll see you on Thursday. Goodbye." "Oh no, oh no, oh no!" Don turned back to us, grinning from ear to ear. "Looks like I won't need help for my first real date." Ava, the owner of that dance club, just asked me out. I had to work really hard to keep smiling. It feels nice to think that someone might really like me, especially in a romantic way. But it's also a little scary. "Does anyone want more turkey?" we asked. We had plenty left. But honestly, none of us felt like eating anymore. What did he mean when he said it was nice to have someone interested in him? What about me? What about my friends? Do we not matter? I wanted to ask what was happening, but Freddie put her hand on mine and signaled for me to be quiet. Eva was very happy with herself. The work she did to check on Don Hendricks was done, and he looked like the right man for her. He was almost as good as her second husband, but didn't have as much money. George had been kind, and she had even managed to have 2 children with him. However, he had very old-fashioned views about marriage and loyalty. She managed to trick him for 5 years about her other relationships. He only found out due to 2 very strange events that seemed almost impossible. Because of their marriage agreement, he got to keep the kids. She didn't really want to have them full-time anyway, but he also took most of their money and belongings. That was what really upset her. Fortunately for her, when they were building the club, he had put it in her name. Don seemed even less aware of things than George had been. If that silly ex-wife could trick him, Eva figured she wouldn't have any trouble. Barbara had been open about her dates with other men for 3 years and had never been caught. Plus, she hadn't been very caring towards Don at all. Eva was excited about teaching Don a few things in their private time together. She smiled to herself, thinking that it could be just as fun as being with someone new. She saw Don as a good partner to come home to and support her. Of course, his daughters would need to go, but she was confident she could persuade Don to send them back to their mother, Barbara. She thought that if she acted lively and made a bit of noise, Don might feel awkward and ask them to leave. And Ava really liked having a fun time. Mr. Hendricks would be so easy to manage, she thought to herself, feeling proud and sure that she was the greatest thing that ever happened to Don. I wanted my friends to tell me about Eva right away, but they wouldn't say anything until we were back at my place. Vanessa even drove my SUV instead of going with Freddie. They both insisted on that. No matter how much I asked Vanessa, she wouldn't share a thing. She told me that Kathy would share everything when we got to my place. At last, we were all in my home, sitting around the dining room table. Can someone please tell me what's happening? Why did Don say that Eva was the only one with feelings for him, even though some of us have gotten really close to crossing a line with him? Kathy was the first to respond. Maria, you have to understand that Don is nice but a bit clueless about people, especially women. He takes things very literally. Think of it like this. You have some new friends and one person you really like. He calls you a dork and then says he will teach you how to be charming. Plus, when the lessons are over, he plans to set you up on dates with someone else. How would that make you feel? I felt a sudden heavy weight in my stomach and a deep ache. But Don never really liked me like that, I replied. They all laughed at me sadly. Freddie said, Maria, it was clear to all of us from the first weekend we met him that he liked you. We've been calling Don slow, and you never saw how he felt about you. I don't believe it. Maria, you know how everyone has always said you look like a famous Italian movie star? Yes. Freddie took a DVD case from her bag and tossed it onto the table. The cover showed a well-known male actor and a famous female actress. From the moment he met you until New Year's Eve, Megan and Robin said that Don watched that DVD every day. I still don't get it, Vanessa said, cutting me off. It was right after Christmas when we started this silly setting him up on dates idea. After that, he suddenly stopped watching that DVD. He even threw it away, but Megan saved it. My stomach felt worse as she went on. On New Year's Eve, Don, who usually doesn't drink much, got drunk. I helped him to his room, and when he saw you, he started singing a song softly. The song was called Unchain My Heart. Megan says he plays that song all the time now. Sometimes when you, Maria, are nearby but not paying attention, he looks at you. We can see his lips moving, and it's clear he's singing along quietly to himself. Oh, no! I exclaimed as I quickly stood up. I need to go back to Don's apartment and talk to him. What should I say to him? Kathy cut in while I was lost in thought. What are you up to, Maria? I need to talk to Don. I have to explain everything. Maria, please sit down. Are you ready to spend the night with him? What? No, I can't do that. Why not? Because of my past. You all know about it. It wouldn't feel right to be close to him without telling him my story first. And I began to cry. Freddie and Vanessa walked over to the table to help me feel better. So, are you ready to share your past with him tonight? Freddie asked softly. No, it's too soon. I'm not ready yet, I replied. Then I think hurrying to see Don right now won't help. It might even make things harder, Vanessa said gently. What do you mean? What are you getting at? I asked, confused. You've mentioned that Don feels really bad about himself and struggles with being romantic or confident in relationships, she explained. He believes we have all told him that we don't find him attractive at all. Now, you're going to rush over and say something different just with words? He's not going to believe it. Don will think you're only saying nice things to make him feel better, like it's just out of kindness. It's going to take more than just kind words to change his mind. He will need real support and care, not just a quick act of comfort. So, unless you're ready to go over there and really get involved with him for a week or talk to him about your past, I think visiting him might cause more trouble than it's worth. You could end up making Don feel even worse, and he might start staying away from all of us out of shame. Hearing Kathy's words really hit me hard, and I started to cry. Freddie, Vanessa, and Kathy stayed at Maria's place that night to help her feel better and tell her what happened with Eva. They shared everything they knew about Eva and how she acted. They told Maria not to worry and that after just one date, Don would see that Ava wasn't a good match for him. She completely paid no attention to her own kids. On Monday night, the super-secret security team of the PDA gathered to ensure they would keep their word to Maria. Freddie waited for her friends in the parking lot of her building. Kathy and Vanessa got to the place almost at the same time. Freddie and Vanessa both gave Kathy big, warm hugs when she stepped out of her car. "How are you, Kathy?" Freddie asked, looking worried. Vanessa had the same concerned look on her face. "I'm okay, really, but I'd rather discuss why you sent me that urgent message about Maria and Don," Kathy replied. "Okay, we'll talk about that. But after that, we're talking about you, so don't think you can leave," Freddie said with a gentle smile. Maria and Don had a small issue with his date with Eva, and it might get worse. "What's going on?" they both asked. "To keep Ava or any other women away from Don, we need some help, especially if we want to be careful. My sister Helga is a bit of a whiz with inventions. I was meant to keep it quiet, but she has sold some of her gadgets to the military and police. The inventions they bought from her are what people call non-lethal weapons. I told her about our problem, and Helga really wants to help us. In fact, she is eager to assist. But if she does help us, we will need to make some big changes in how we operate while she's around." "What do you mean?" "What kind of changes?" Kathy asked carefully. "I think you'll notice them soon enough, but when she's not around, we do things my way." The two of them walked behind Freddie into the building. Instead of stopping in her studio, they went straight to her storeroom. "Freddie, why are we going to your storeroom? And what's with the little desk and coat rack outside the door?" Vanessa asked. "I don't want to talk about it. Helga put them there," Freddie replied. "She has been in my studio all day making a big mess. I care about her a lot, but my little sister can be a handful," Kathy thought. "You call her a handful, but you're the one making us do this silly security directorate stuff and use names from Animal House. And then you question where she gets it from? Let me tell you, it's in our blood. This is going to make a great paper." Kathy and Vanessa were amazed when Freddie opened the door to the small storeroom. Inside, they found a little closet with another door right in front of them. Freddie opened the second door and they walked into the old storeroom. It had been completely changed and now looked like a classic office. In front of them was a big, nice desk. On top of it, there was a cabinet with bottles and glasses. 2 leather chairs sat in front of the desk. To the right, a picture of Big Ben was framed with curtains, making it look like a window view. Helga was there, waiting for them with a big smile. She wore an old suit, a white shirt, and a tie. Her size made the outfit look odd. She stood up and welcomed her guests with a silly British accent. "Hello, Em. I've been waiting for you for a while." "Q, I just needed to talk to Bond for a moment. We don't want to forget who is in charge, right?" "Yes, of course, that's true." Q then looked at Kathy and said, "Good to see you again, Bond." Inside, Kathy felt overjoyed. "I'm not just Flounder anymore. This is how it's meant to be." Vanessa, however, was curious about what name she would end up with. Q turned to her and asked, "Moneypenny, Felix Leiter, Jinx, or Octopussy?" "Oh no, I knew it," Vanessa thought to herself. Octopussy was off the list. But what about the other 3? There has to be a Moneypenny. A Bond movie without her just isn't a Bond movie. Feeling down, Vanessa chose Moneypenny. This made Q smile even wider. M spoke up. "Okay, let's move on. From what we've learned about Eva, it's clear she really cares about her looks. She worries a lot about how she looks, trying hard to always be at her best. Because of this, she often forgets about more important things. We also know she loves wearing soft, silky dresses. Bond, Eva has never met you. That's why you have this job. Can you tell us more?" Q then took out a small can with a long tube. At the end of the tube was a tiny tip. "I created a device meant to hold someone in place. It didn't work out like I thought it would, but it should be great for this job. When this spray is used on a person, it makes their clothes stick to them instantly, and it makes their hair a bit messy, too. It's funny, isn't it?" The spray also contains a strong, quick-drying glue. Unfortunately, this glue wasn't strong enough to stop movement, but it did create a sticky effect that made hair look like it was always messy and out of control. In the end, anyone who uses this spray ends up looking quite silly. Cleaning the clothes or using dry cleaning will get rid of the glue, and the same goes for hair. It won't cause any long-term issues, and it's safe for people and the environment. M shared the plan, saying, "Here's what we're going to do, Bond. 008 will have a little time to use her father's phone, and then bring it to Q in the parking lot of their apartment. Q has another gadget that she will use to take full control of Don's phone. On the night of their date, 008 will call her dad. Q will be in the parking lot of the club, trying to get better signal. He will mess with the connection so that Don has to leave the building to find a better spot. This will, of course, leave Eva by herself. Bond, you will use this chance to spray Eva with Q's special device. Q and 008 will keep Don occupied for about 10 minutes. We believe that Eva will find it too hard to wait and will choose to leave and go home by herself. Moneypenny, you already know Eva. You will call her as a friend to say congratulations on dating Don. You'll also mention how he likes being driven by pretty women in fancy cars. This will make her feel good because she loves showing off her Jaguar. We want her to have her own car at the club so it's easy for her to leave whenever she wants. Q, please help Bond learn how to use the device. Make sure to use the practice solution and not the real one. Helga, we need to change the subject, but this is really important. Kathy, how are you doing with those 3 troublemakers who bothered you? You haven't said much since a couple of days after it happened. You've been keeping to yourself for almost a week now. I was happy to see you at Don's place on Saturday, but you still didn't want to talk, and I nearly thought you wouldn't come here tonight. We're here for you. We care about you and want to help. Please, share what's happening. We're really worried, and I know Maria is very upset about both Don and you. Kathy glanced at Vanessa, who gave a strong nod of approval. Even Helga, someone Kathy didn't know well, nodded along too. She understood that her friends only wanted to help her because they really cared about her. So, she slowly started to tell them about what was happening in her life. Things got rough for a few days. The other kids' parents began to threaten to take legal action against Don and me, especially after Don had a big fight with them. Don hurt the bouncer badly. He hit the driver hard, breaking his cheekbone and hurting his eye. The man he pushed against the wall also got hurt. He had a concussion, a broken shoulder, and some broken ribs. The last guy in the car with me was just as injured as the bouncer, suffering from a serious concussion too. Things were not looking good. Kathy said, "The parents have money and were doing everything they could to keep their kids safe. But then the police came to search their homes. I found out I wasn't the first girl they targeted. Sadly, the first 2 girls didn't make it out okay. The police know this because those foolish guys recorded what they did before, and all 4 of them were involved, including the person at the door. One of the girls is still in the hospital. She understands that she was hurt very badly, and the police know it too, but she can't remember much. She has serious injuries. It wasn't because of any special strength, they just enjoyed using different things to harm her. They were a cruel group of 4. The police took some time to find the second girl, and she was in very rough shape, too. She felt so embarrassed about what happened to her that she tried to hide it by focusing on taking care of herself. She thought it was her fault for getting drunk, not realizing that someone had drugged her. Suddenly, the parents started to run for safety. Their cars and homes were involved in terrible acts. And although they are in college and over 18, all 3 young men who did these awful things still rely financially on their parents. The 2 young women they harmed now have lawyers and are taking legal action against them and their families. I'm not really sure how things will turn out for them, but we'll just have to wait and see. The parents have decided not to go after Don and me anymore. Now, they are keeping quiet, hoping we forget about their threats. They seem worried that we might take legal action against them. The district attorney thinks I probably won't have to speak in court because the parents want to avoid the trouble of a long trial. They are scared of what might happen if this goes to court. With all the video evidence, it's a sure win for the district attorney. They will likely work out a deal quietly, and the kids involved will probably get a shorter sentence if they agree to plead no contest. This way, the city can save money and time that would come with a long trial. Still, they will be going away for a while. Don and I haven't talked much about it because the DA asked us to be careful about what we say. 2 girls are struggling because they want to keep their troubles to themselves. They don't want anyone to know what happened to them. I wish I could forget it all. But some nights I wake up scared, thinking that if Dawn hadn't acted fast and been brave, I might have also been hurt like they were. Dawn has been really good about not bringing it up again. I'm really sorry. I know you're my friends and you care about me. I should have talked to you before, but I just wanted to keep everything to myself. Freddie spoke up. Kathy, I think you're being a bit silly. You're hurting yourself by keeping everything inside. As someone who wants to help others, you should understand that it's important to talk to someone. It doesn't have to be us, but you need to share what you're feeling. We're all like family, even if we're not related by blood. You've been hiding from us for almost a week. Last week, all three of us came by your apartment several times looking for you. We've also sent many phone calls and texts, but you haven't answered. You don't have to talk to us about that night, but we really need to know that you're okay. We are ready to help you in any way we can. If you ever wake up feeling scared or uneasy, just call any of us, even Maria. Do you understand? She stared at Kathy. Kathy looked down, feeling embarrassed. Yes, thank you all, she said quietly. It might be smart for you to stay with one of us for a little while, she suggested. We all have extra rooms, so please consider it. If you have a tough night, you can come to any of our houses and just let yourself in. You have keys to all of our homes. I will tell Maria everything you shared with us. She has been really worried and keeps asking both of us if we found out anything about that terrible night. You might think she only cares about Dawn, but she's really worried about you too. You don't have to tell her everything again, but maybe you could call her. Let her hear your voice so she knows you're okay. Okay, I get it. I'm really sorry for making you all worry about me. Thank you so much for being such great friends. We love you, Kathy, I said. Even though we're not family, I've always thought of you as one of my silly sisters, just like Helga. Helga joked, Hey, that sounds like me. But Freddie just smiled at her and said, Maria feels the same way. As for Vanessa, I think she's from another planet and I'm not sure if they have sisters there. Vanessa grinned back and said, We aliens don't have sisters. We have fellow pod people. Kathy, you're a pod sister to me too. I feel like with all this sister time we've been having, we should do our special handshake. We haven't done it in a long time. Freddie shouted, That sounds like a super idea. Kathy jumped back in surprise and Helga asked, What special handshake? I don't know what to think. My friends told me that everything will be fine, but my Dawn is going on an actual date with someone else. I felt so sad inside as I prepared dinner in his apartment, waiting for him to return on Wednesday evening. What made it harder was that I thought I had hurt him. From the first time we met, I could see he felt a strong pull towards me. But he seemed to relax so fast that I believed it was just a short feeling. I never realized that he really loved me. Before Megan and Robin got back from school, I looked around his house, hoping to find proof of what my friend said. I discovered it in his bedside alarm clock that also played CDs. There was a CD called My Music, and it only had 2 songs on it. One was by Ray Charles and the other was by Joe Cocker. They both sang different versions of Unchain My Heart. What have I done? Eva felt so happy. Dawn had said nice things about how she looked and her car. He seemed to feel at ease, sitting back and enjoying the soft leather seats with a lovely woman driving him. Vanessa had been a great friend to call and share what Dawn liked. Feeling excited, Eva decided to give Dawn a little surprise by lightly touching his thigh with her hand. As she got closer to that spot, he turned red in the face, and his pants seemed to fit a bit tighter. Is it too soon to spend the night with him? She wondered. She had shared that kind of time with other men on the first date, but she wanted something special with Dawn. Well, I'll just wait and see how the evening goes, she thought. Things were going well at the jazz club, too. You look really beautiful in that blue dress, Eva. Thank you, Dawn. You look nice, too. Yes, spending time with him tonight would be nice. I have so much to share with you, Donald. Do you like jazz, Dawn? I do, but I don't listen to it often. I'm not sure why. Music has a way of making us feel a lot of different emotions. It can make you feel sad, mad, or happy, but sometimes I just want to listen and not think about my feelings. That's why I like jazz. With jazz, I just focus on the sounds. Sometimes it feels like I become part of the music. Don raised his eyebrows and smiled. It's a really cool experience. I'm really happy you like jazz and decided to go out with me. I really enjoy the local social scene, and I can share a lot of fun things with you, Eva said, lightly touching Don's hand. Don felt a bit uneasy with where the conversation was going, so he quickly tried to switch to a different topic. Vanessa told me you have 2 kids from your first marriage. I bet they're just as lovely as you. That was a nice compliment, but why did he have to mention my kids? Oh yes, my kids are really cute. When I saw them a month ago, I was amazed by how much they had grown. Why did he suddenly look unhappy? Don could feel his face wrinkle in a frown. He took a sip of his soda water to hide it and to buy himself some time to relax his expression. Oh? What grades are they in at school? Why are you talking about them? I wish you would focus on me instead. Things were going so well. Why did you have to change the subject? I believe my youngest is in 3rd grade, and my oldest is in 5th. Why does he still look so upset? Just then, Don's phone rang loudly. Hello? Hi, Megan, I can hardly hear you. Megan, can you hear me? Oh no, I lost the call. Don tried to call her back, saying, Megan, but the call dropped again. I'm really sorry, Eva. I need to step outside to see if I can get a better signal. My daughter called, and I should check what's wrong. I'll be back soon. Kathy, tucked away in the corner of the room, received a text message on her phone that said it was time to start. She took a deep breath and walked over to Eva's table. A small canister was fastened to her belt, hidden under her jacket. A thin tube connected the canister and ran down her sleeve, ending in a nozzle at her wrist. Kathy tightened her fingers and pressed a button to make the nozzle reach just beyond her fingertips. As Kathy walked quietly behind Eva's chair, she used a small device to spray a mist over Eva. It looked like she was casually moving her hand, as if she was fixing her own hair. Kathy and Helga had practiced this easy-looking motion for hours to make sure Eva got the right amount of spray while sitting down. Almost right away, Eva noticed something strange. Her clothes felt a bit tight, and her head felt different, like it was spinning a bit. She got up to look at her clothes. What is wrong with my outfit? This is the worst static cling I've ever had. My dress is sticking so much that you can see the shape of my underwear. She patted her hair to check it and felt that it was all puffy. People were starting to look at her, and it wasn't nice. Some were even laughing. She hurried to the ladies' room and was shocked when she saw herself in the mirror. Her hair was a messy tangle, reminding her of the funny actress Phyllis Diller on a really bad hair day. Her dress was so tight that it made her look like a wrapped-up mummy. Grateful for always being ready, she took a dryer sheet out of her purse to smooth her clothes and get rid of the static, but it didn't work. She splashed some water on her hair and clothes, yet nothing changed. The other women in the restroom started to laugh and gave silly tips. I need to leave this place. I am Eva, the owner of one of the top clubs in Seattle. If people hear about this, I will be the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. She felt so embarrassed about how she looked and really didn't want Don to see her like this. But since she had brought him here, she had to at least check if he was back yet. While she was thinking about this, Don was busy helping Megan with a computer issue. Q had given Megan some advice so she could finish her homework. His phone was acting up, which made him walk nearly 100 yards from the club to find a better signal. Eva looked around the club. When she didn't see Don, she left through the back door to go home, softly saying that he could just take a taxi. Don was pleased that he had just helped his daughter. He went back to his table, but he didn't see Eva there. He thought she might be in the bathroom. After waiting for about half an hour, he decided to call her on her cell phone. Luckily, Don's phone suddenly had full signal. He called Eva, but because of Q, she didn't answer. Feeling awkward, he asked a few women going into the restroom if they had seen her. They came back and said she wasn't there. Then Don decided to look for Eva's car in the parking lot, but it wasn't there. Once more, he tried to call her, but again, there was no answer. Thinking about what happened to Kathy made him worry about Eva. He thought something might be wrong. He almost called the police, but decided to take a taxi to Eva's club instead. During the taxi ride, he kept trying to reach Eva on her cell phone, but there was no answer. He didn't realize that another car was following him closely, driven by a woman with a very noticeable figure. When he arrived at Eva's club, no one had seen her there. Don made up his mind. He would call Eva one more time, and if she didn't pick up, he would call the police. Eva, is that you? Are you okay? I've been really worried. What happened? Do you need help? It had been a very long night, and Don's worry only grew. Oh, Don, it was awful. My clothes, my hair, I felt like a total joke. Dawn thought someone must have spilled food or drink on Ava. It made sense she would leave quickly when she couldn't find her date. "Take it easy, Ava. What happened?" "Dawn, my hair was so messy and my dress was sticking to me. It was so embarrassing." He looked confused for a moment. "Ava, are you talking about that annoying, clingy feeling?" "Yes, I am. But this was the worst I've ever experienced." "Ava, why didn't you just stay in your car or call me back?" "I tried to reach you 10 times in the last hour," Don said, feeling frustrated. He was already worried about Eva's talk about her kids, and now this was making things even worse. "I would prefer to be alone forever than to date her." "Eva, you are a very pretty woman, but I don't believe we can be together. There are many kinds of people in the world, and I think we are just too different." "I know you care about your children's well-being," I said, trying to be polite. "But honestly, it seems like you don't pay much attention to them every day. My kids are the most important part of my life. I couldn't stand not hearing from them at least once a day. Thank you for the date. You really looked lovely. I really hope you can fix your static electricity issue and enjoy your evening. You're a lovely woman, Eva, and soon a good man will be lucky to have you." Wow. He's got a point. Our views about kids are very different, and it's hard to ignore that. It's a shame we didn't find this out before. I guess I should be polite. I don't want to upset anyone who might want to do business with us. "You're right, Donald. You are a nice man and a great dancer, but I think I forgot about having matching personalities. Even if it seems like we won't be close friends, I hope you won't start staying away from me. Please keep coming to my club." "You can count on that, Ava, but I'll say goodbye for now." "Goodbye, Donald." Donald ended the call on his phone. That was a close call. Now I feel like I need to clean my mouth for telling so many fibs. After hearing the talk, Q called M to share the good news about finishing her first mission. Q was excited and hoped to try out her inventions more often because they were a lot of fun. I sat on my bed, gently rocking back and forth while holding my pillow. I had waited too long and been too afraid, and now I felt like I was going to lose him. My phone started ringing, and I almost didn't pick it up until I noticed it was Don calling. "Hey, Maria, can we talk?" he asked. "Of course, Don," I replied. "Thanks, Maria. I need to talk about something important. You know I haven't been on many dates besides my ex-wife, but this date I had tonight was so bad that I really need to share it with someone to see if this kind of thing is normal." The date was a disaster. My heart felt lighter, like spring had arrived in my room. I could almost see flowers blooming and hear birds singing outside. I tried to sound worried even though I was really happy. I said, "Please tell me everything, Don. It sounds terrible." Well, the woman was the most selfish and proud person I have ever met. "Oh, really? That's too bad." Yes, Moria. She rarely sees her own kids or knows anything about them. How can a mother act like that? What would she be like around my daughters? I could never trust someone like her. Oh, she is in big trouble. A father like me doesn't accept careless parents. Don, I completely agree with you. I can't imagine any mother acting like that. We really don't want anyone like that around Megan and Robin. While we were on our date, Megan called me, so I stepped outside to get a better signal on my phone. I was gone only for a short time, but when I came back, she had already left the club and gone home without telling me. I ended up having to call a taxi to get back to my car. It took me more than an hour to find her, and she gave me a strange excuse for leaving. She said it was because she had a bad case of static cling. Can you believe that? Things just keep getting weirder. She leaves Don and says it's because of static cling. Goodbye, Ava, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. Don, I've never heard of anything like that before. That woman must be out of her mind. Was there anything good about your date? Well, let me think. She wore a pretty blue dress, but it didn't hide how focused she was on herself. She had a nice car and took me to a jazz club, which I thought was fun. Both Vanessa and Freddie did that too. I really like jazz, and I enjoy all kinds of music. So there were 3 nice things about the evening, but that just wasn't enough. I will never go out with that woman again, and I hope I'm never alone with her again. Oh, so you like blue silk dresses? What can I say? I'm a guy. I like when women wear dresses instead of pants. I think blue is nice, but red, yellow, and black are good too. Actually, I like green the most. I made a note. Don likes green. For the next 40 minutes, I had a great chat with Don. It really made me feel happy, and I slept very well that night. We talked a little about Robin's birthday, which is on a Monday. We agreed it would be nice to celebrate it the weekend before. We will likely have to plan something similar for Megan's birthday next month since it's on a Tuesday. Also, this weekend, they are all coming to my condo to enjoy the amenities, especially the pool. The managers have made the pool area look like a tropical paradise with potted palm trees and decorations. Megan and Robin will really enjoy it, and I'm excited to see Don in the new swimsuit I got him. I really want to get my abs back in shape, but I'm working on it. I felt a bit uneasy about going to Maria's condo for the weekend. It seemed different from visiting her place in the mountains. Still, Megan and Robin were really eager to go. Maria said the pool area was decorated nicely, and it might feel nice to pretend we were in the Caribbean instead of Seattle, especially with all the cold, gloomy rain we have been having lately. Having Maria as a friend was one of the best things for the three of us. I sometimes wish we could have been closer. Maria greeted us at the front of her building and led us to the security desk. She told the staff that we were her special guests. She asked them to allow us to use all the building's facilities and her condo whenever we wanted. The guards took pictures of the three of us, just in case we forgot our keys. I thought it was a bit much for Maria to do, but it was a nice thing to offer. The pool was huge, at least twice as big as an Olympic swimming pool. It was on the roof, which was unusual, and it was fully covered. The pool had a funny, winding shape with some parts for swimming laps and other areas for having fun. Maria mentioned that on sunny days they sometimes opened the roof. In one corner there was a bar, and in another corner there was a restaurant with a grill. Along the wall farthest from the pool, a buffet table was set up for everyone to enjoy. A small band was playing cheerful calypso music near the bar. There were tables, chairs, and lounge chairs scattered all around. I started to think about how much Maria paid every year to keep this place nice. We took the elevator to the pool area, wearing robes over our swimsuits and flip-flops on our feet. As we took off our robes, I was truly surprised by Maria's beautiful shape. For a moment, I felt a rush of excitement, like a playful creature returning. Or maybe it was more like a curious sea creature since we were near the pool, and I had a strong urge to touch her gently. Maria looked at me with a strange gaze. Then her face changed to one that showed surprise, sadness, and concern all at once. She hurried away without saying anything to the bathroom. Oh no, my staring really upset her just when things were going so well. Good job, Don, you fool. Wow, he actually did it. I can't believe he sang that song to himself while looking at me. His heart is hurting, and I can't tell him that I love him too. Not yet. I'm just not ready to share my past. I need to get my thoughts in order first. Oh no, Maria, you really need to get some help. It's time to see a therapist. I hurried to the women's bathroom and locked myself in a stall. Calm down, Maria. Don will think you're upset with him and your friends will be confused. You don't have much time. Pull yourself together. I used everything I learned in modeling to fix myself up and put a smile on my face. I stepped out of the bathroom in less than 10 minutes. Don stood outside the door looking very worried. Maria, I'm sorry for looking at you like that. You're just so beautiful. I couldn't help it. I really am sorry. If it would make you feel better, I can go home and leave the girls here for the weekend. I don't mind if that's what you want. I felt like reaching out to him and hugging him tightly. I wanted to run to the ladies' room and cry. I wished I could fall into his arms and share all the hurt I had inside. Instead, I softly touched his cheek. Don, you didn't upset me. I felt really good that you thought I was attractive. But my stomach was acting up, and I've been a bit stressed about some things in my life. That's why I had to leave for a moment. Please don't think it was your fault. It really wasn't. I'm sorry if it seemed that way, so please don't run off to your apartment. It would make me really sad if you did. I would feel like it was all my fault, like I made you leave, and I would have a really bad weekend without you, okay? Okay, if you're sure. I'm really sure. All right. But if you ever need help with those personal things that are stressing you out, I would be happy to help if you want. Thank you, Don. One day I might take you up on that. Then, just to be safe, I took his hand. I wanted him to see that I wasn't upset, and I hoped he wouldn't leave. Maybe it was strange for just friends to act this way, but I didn't care. I would at least do this for him. I stuck close to Don all weekend, especially at the pool. He looked really good in his swimsuit. Honestly, he was the best-looking guy there the entire weekend. Many of the other women living here were watching him closely, looking very interested. I knew I had to keep an eye on my space. If I turned away for even a moment, one of them might give him their phone number, or even take his hand to show him one of the little tents they had set up. I took an easy way out when it came to meals, so I only cooked breakfast that weekend. For dinner on Friday and for all the lunches, we ate by the pool. I took them out to dinner on both Saturday and Sunday at two of my favorite restaurants. I asked everyone to wear their best clothes. Megan and Robin had a blast dressing up in the outfits I helped choose and buy for them. I couldn't help but smile. They looked so lovely, like two shining princesses. They were really excited to go to such fancy places, and I even got to see Don in the suits I had picked out for him. He looked amazing. I need to get him a nice suit soon. I didn't want to drive, and I thought it would be fun for Megan and Robin, so I set up limousines to take us both nights. I was right. Megan and Robin were really impressed. Just stay with me, kids, and I'll show you great things. The hosts and managers at both restaurants came over to our table to ask why I hadn't visited in a while. I pointed at Don and told everyone it was his fault. He's such a good cook that I don't need to eat out as much. Marilyn, a young and friendly hostess at one of the restaurants, looked at Don, smiled, and whispered to me, "And he cooks too?" I realized I wouldn't feel comfortable going back to that restaurant with Don until we were officially together. He looked really good now. Maybe making him fit wasn't the best idea after all. Then a scary thought crossed my mind. What about the other women he sees when I'm not there? We all had a wonderful time at Maria's place, even though the sky was gray. It felt nice to escape to a pretend tropical paradise. Maria really took care of me all weekend. I think she was trying to make up for how she acted before. I had a quick chat with Maria about Robin's birthday on the 18th. I wanted to celebrate it the Saturday and Sunday before. Maria really wanted to take charge of the party. She asked me to bring some fun game stuff to her house when we came over. On Tuesday night at Vanessa's gym, one of her friends, Gwen, came up to me. "Hey, Don, did you bring any cookies tonight? You should check with Vanessa to see if there are any left." I don't put them on the receptionist's desk anymore. I drop them off in her office. She says it's the best way to make sure each customer gets just one. Wow, I only took 3 that one time, and now she's limiting them. How's your exercise coming along? Pretty good. I'm running at 8 miles an hour now. I was really happy at 7.5, but Vanessa keeps pushing me. Yeah, Vanessa can be tough, but she gets things done, and that's why so many people like her. Don, do you have any plans this weekend? I'm not sure yet. What about you? Do you have anything planned? No, I don't have any plans for Friday or Saturday night. Was she hinting that she wanted me to ask her out? I said carefully, Friday night. Why, Don, I would love to go out with you on Friday night. Here's my address and my phone number. Can you pick me up around 7? I felt a bit confused and surprised. Okay, I replied. I wasn't sure if I had asked her out or if she had asked me. Vanessa came back from the restroom just as Gwen left. What did Gwen talk to you about? Just the usual small talk, but I think I either asked her out or she asked me for Friday night. Maybe this will be better than my last date. Vanessa looked surprised when I brought up my date with Gwen. She took a moment to respond. Oh, I hope everything goes well for you. What time are you meeting her? 7 p.m. at her house. I should call her to ask what she'd like to do. For some reason, Vanessa decided to change my workout for the rest of the night. It was really hard, like she was trying to teach me a lesson. Don, it's Maria. Hi, Maria, how are you? I'm good, thanks. Don, this weekend won't be great for riding horses in the mountains. We had so much fun at my place that I thought we could spend another weekend here and celebrate Robin's party here as well. That sounds like a fantastic idea, Maria. Thank you. I know Megan and Robin will be really happy. Tell them to wear their best clothes again and you can wear your nice suits. Okay, but I have a little problem. Oh? What is it, Don? I feel bad asking you to watch the kids, but can I drop the girls off early on Friday evening? I have plans that night at 7. Maria, are you still there? Yes, I'm still here, Don. Sorry, another call came in for a moment. I would love to babysit. After your date, you can come back here and share all the details with me. Thanks, Maria. I really appreciate it. I'm not totally sure how this date came about, but she seems like a nice girl. All right. I guess I'll see you tonight for the girls' meeting. Thanks again, Maria. See you later. Vanessa, it's Maria. Don has another date! What am I going to do? Maria cried. MI5. Office Seattle, Washington, Wednesday evening. The chimes of Big Ben echoed in the office. Moneypenny? Do you have any news? Yes, Gwen has managed to get Don to ask her out. They have a date set for this Friday at 7. Gwen is a serious issue. I understand you like her, Moneypenny, but she is being controlled by the evil twins. They have wanted to hurt Maria ever since the three of them met. The twins have always been jealous of Maria's success. They were the ones who tried to ruin her career. They believed they were just as pretty as Maria, and maybe they are, but they never understood why she was always chosen for the good parts and got more attention. They never realized that being good at the job also meant having grace and a good attitude. Instead, they acted like a clumsy dog with a bad temper. I was always surprised that Joanne and Anna could even be friends, given how they behaved. Bond jumped in and said, Well, Anna understands that Joanne is smarter and knows how to lead. They both look alike and can be fierce, but Joanne is truly clever, and Anna sees that. Just see how they made Gwen their unsuspecting helper. Many people have tried to help Gwen see the real story about them, but she is totally caught up in their charm. I have never understood how some people can be so full of themselves that they think every small problem is a direct hit on them. That is exactly how Joanne and Anna are. If things don't work out for them, they always look for someone to blame. When it comes to their unsuccessful modeling dreams, they focus their anger on Maria and want to get back at her for it. That's why I've never let those two into my group. They have never been rude to me, but what Joanne and Anna did to Maria made me consider them my enemies too. Gwen is different. She is kind and always tries to see the best in everyone. She is such a nice person, and I wouldn't have any issues with her if she didn't hang out with those two mean girls. The worst part is that anything she learns, they find out right away. They have a lot of power over her. It's very possible that if they know about Don and Maria, they pushed her to ask him out. Well, it sounds like we really need to help her. Q, do you have any suggestions? Of course. Moneypenny, do you ever have lunch with Gwen? Yes, at least once a week. Great. I have just the thing for that. Bond, Moneypenny, can I have your attention, please? Q pulled out an object from her big briefcase that looked like a shiny metal candy dispenser. This device gives out a special herbal pellet I created. It's sealed tightly because the pellets start to break apart as soon as they touch the air. Hot foods help everything work faster. So if you drop a couple of pellets into Gwen's meal and stir it quickly, she won't even see the extra ingredients. This pellet and dispenser system is much quicker than just spreading herbs on her food. Let me show you how it works. Q quickly dropped 2 pellets into her hand, showing off how fast and precise her device was. You can try it out, but just a heads up, there are only 10 more pellets left in the container, and it's tricky for me to refill it. At that moment, Moneypenny chimed in. What do the pellets do? I'm not trying to hurt her. Oh, I forgot to say. They cause really bad gas. If she eats meat that day, the effects will be even stronger. About 2 to 4 hours after she eats the pellet, she'll have really bad gas. It will only last for 4 more hours, but it will be so unpleasant that she won't even want to be around herself, much less go out with someone. It won't hurt her in the long run, and in fact, will be good for her stomach health. I also use it sometimes, but I take a much smaller amount. Be careful. Don't take more than 2 pellets. Taking 3 can lead to a strong and really painful stomachache. M spoke again. Moneypenny, on Friday afternoon between 2 and 3, you will take Gwen out for a late lunch. You could say that you know a lot about Don and you want to share some useful details with her. Bond, I'm not sure if you can help, but if you're free, maybe you can go with Moneypenny. One of you can distract her while the other adds some flavor to her meal, if you know what I mean. You're spot on, Vanessa. This little restaurant has the best real Mexican food I've tasted in ages. I appreciate the invite, and it's great to see you, Kathy. It's been too long. Great to see you too, Gwen. I'm really sorry I got here so late, and we couldn't arrive until 3. That's okay, Kathy. Excuse me, I need to use the restroom, but I'll be back soon. Don't eat any of my food while I'm gone, you two. Gwen chuckled at her own joke and walked away. Vanessa and Kathy shared a glance. This is too easy. It feels as bad as hurting a bag full of kittens. The funny noise hit Gwen at 6:30 while Don was on his way to pick her up. Oh my gosh, why won't it stop? Fap, fap, fart, fap, fart. The smell is going to make me feel so sick. Hi, Dawn. It's Gwen. Fap, fap, fart. Dawn, I'm not feeling well. I need to cancel our date. Fap, fart. I'll talk to you later, okay? Goodbye. Dawn was near Gwen's house, so he thought he would drive by and look at it for later. Gwen felt like she couldn't take the smell inside her house anymore. She decided to go for a run in the nearby park, hoping to escape the odor for a while. She stepped out of her house, not knowing she was about to begin the longest journey of her life. Not knowing what Dawn's car looked like, she ran right past it without seeing it. But Dawn saw Gwen right away as she rushed down the street toward the park he had just left. He noticed she looked very unwell. Only someone feeling really sick could run that fast. He didn't see how dogs and other animals tended to avoid her, and how people looked stunned like they had been hit when she ran by. Dawn, why are you back so early? I was shocked. He had left less than an hour after dropping off Megan and Robin. I suppose I'm not good at dating. I really thought Gwen wanted to go out with me. But at the last moment, she called and said she was sick. I was driving near her house when I saw her running outside. I can't believe anyone would go for a run when they are not feeling well. I'm really sorry, Dawn, that your dates are not going well. I know you'll meet the right girl soon. And I hope it's me, you silly. When I talked to Vanessa on Wednesday and cried a little, she said not to worry. She promised that she, Freddie, and Kathy would help me out. Are they trying to make things harder for Dawn with his dates? Maria, you must have eaten already, right? I'll go get some food and be back soon. No, you don't need to do that. There's an amazing pizza place nearby that delivers. I also have some of Carl's beer. Just sit down and relax after your evening and we can watch some TV together. I think I saw some shows on the History Channel or TCM that you might enjoy. Thanks, Maria. I wasn't really sure about this date anyway, but the way she ignored me feels a bit rude. My poor friend's date didn't go well. Isn't that too bad? That Saturday night, we all went to the nicest restaurant I know, and once again, we had a driver. At the end of the meal, when the cake came out, some of the staff joined us to sing Happy Birthday to Robin. When Robin blew out the candles, everyone around us clapped. Robin looked very happy, and I wanted to share my joy with everyone. But I started to feel nervous. There might be someone in this restaurant who knew about my past. What would happen if they visited or just started talking loudly? How would I respond? After the cake, we returned to my apartment, and Robin began to open her gifts. She received the usual things: clothes, video games, CDs, and DVDs. I had bought her 2 extra gifts, one big and one small. I gave her the small gift first. When she opened it, she cried after reading the message inside the lovely platinum locket I had Kevin order for me and write himself. Inside was a photo of Robin, Megan, and me blowing out the candles on my birthday cake. The writing said, "Thank you, Robin, for letting me be a part of your life. All my love, Maria." May 18th, 09. After she gave me a big hug and a kiss, she opened the second box. Inside was a cool Nerf gun made by Freddie's sister Helga, who was like a mad scientist. It had a special ammo drum that could be changed quickly, and the drum could hold 100 foam darts. Don and Megan were taking their guns from where they had hidden them. I quickly took out my guns too, one of which looked just like Robin's. I looked at her and said, "Are you feeling lucky?" After 2 hours of shouting and noise, my neighbors called security on us. What a buzzkill! I had Helga secretly work on a special gift for Megan's birthday. I made sure to ask for one for myself as well, just for fun. On Sunday, we had another party, but this time I did all the cooking. I made lasagna, Italian sausage from Don, mushrooms, and garlic bread. For dessert, I served the cheesecake while we could faintly hear cows mooing in the distance. Then, on Monday morning, I woke up early to make breakfast because we had a long ride to school. We sang Happy Birthday to Robin. Don left for work straight from my condo while I drove my girls to school. Robin wore her locket with pride. I knew she might take it off later so Barbara wouldn't notice it tonight, but that was fine with me. "Hello, is this Don Hendricks?" "Yes, it is. How can I help you?" "Mr. Hendricks, my name is Anna Wainwright. I'm an interior designer. We have some friends in common who suggested I reach out to you. I used to work with Freddie and Vanessa when I was a model. I heard that you design websites, and I checked out some of the ones you've made. I'm really impressed, especially with the site you created for Freddie. I would love for you to design a website for me. I don't do that professionally, Miss Wainwright. I just helped out some friends with their sites. Please, just call me Anna. Can I call you Dawn? That works for me, Anna. Dawn, I was actually thinking we might trade services. I heard that you are planning to build a new apartment building. I can help you with the design of the inside of the apartments. I can suggest colors and flooring that will make them look nicer for people who want to rent them. This way, you could fill the apartments quickly, and I could save some money while you earn money faster. Anna, you really know what to say. Trading services sounds great to me. I'm happy you like my idea, Dawn. Can we meet this week to talk about it? I'm usually quite busy, and the only time I have free is Monday evening after 8. I have a meeting that lasts an hour every Monday at 6:30. After that, I'm free. We can meet then next week if that works for you. Dawn, today is Monday. Can't we meet this evening? I'm free tonight, but I didn't want to hurry you. Wonderful. I'll text you my address. Let's meet at my condo at 8 tonight, okay? That sounds good, Anna. I'll see you at 8. Anna smiled, realizing Joanne was right. If I had asked him to help me, he would have turned me down. But when I suggested a swap of skills, he agreed. Maria was always taking the best jobs, the best boyfriends, and being the center of attention in every show we worked on together. But after her parents passed away, she started to act strangely. We made sure to let everyone know what she was up to, ruining her good name when our sources told us about her actions. That really ended her small celebration. Then she meets Richard and marries him. He helps her grow her small amount of money into a lot. After she divorced Richard, she made the same mistake again. So we had our fun, telling everyone about the double mint girl. Everyone in the city knows about her now. A few weeks ago, Gwen told us she spotted Maria at the gym with a handsome guy. So Joanne hired a private investigator to keep an eye on Maria again. It looks like Maria has been hanging out a lot with Mr. Hendricks and his daughters. Well, this time I'm really going to get back at her by taking Donnie away from her. In his pictures, he looks really good, so I might decide to keep him around. Anna, I'm Don Hendricks. Is now a good time to talk? Of course, Don. Thanks for coming on such short notice. Please come in. Would you like something to drink? No, thank you. Since my building project is still being planned, I thought we could talk about your website first. I have a copy of the plans for my new building for you. You can look at them whenever you want. I hope you can share some ideas about where the walls should go. That sounds great, Don. Please come to my office. We can work on my computer. I can show you some pictures of my work, and we can talk about the ideas you have. Over the next 2 hours, Anna grew more frustrated with Maria. Here's another nice guy that she's got wrapped around her finger. Don was smart and really listened to Anna's ideas and needs. This made her feel good about herself, especially when he praised her for the pictures of her work he saw online. After a while of working on Anna's website, they both felt tired. So she went to the kitchen to brew a pot of coffee. Don walked after her, still talking about something he thought was important. Anna, about the effects that... But then Anna got a mischievous idea. She held a pot full of water, ready to pour it into the coffee maker. Without thinking too much, she pretended to slip on the floor. She tilted the pot and water splashed out, soaking Don completely. "Oh, Don, I'm really sorry. Let me get you a towel," she said. "You need to take off your wet shirt, and I can put it in the dryer for you. Your pants are wet, too." Don moved away from Anna's helping hands and quickly replied, "It's okay, Anna. My daughters often say, 'I'm all wet,' so I'm used to it. I have some clean workout clothes in my SUV. I'll go get them and change, if that's all right with you." "That's fine, but it's pretty cool outside now. Why don't you change your clothes in here and I can get your sweats?" "I really want to help you, so please let me show you the guest bedroom where you can get ready." "Thank you, Anna. If you really want to, that's fine." While waiting for Anna, Don decided to just take off his shirt and undershirt. He didn't want to risk Anna seeing him in his shorts. He barely knew her after all. Anna quietly walked down the hall with Don's gym bag. She wanted to surprise him and see what he was doing. "Don, I have your clothes!" she called out playfully, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. It wasn't quite what she had wished for. She had hoped to see him in something more relaxed, but he still looked very good to her. "I'll leave your things here. You can take your time while I put your clothes in the dryer." After a little while, Don came out in his comfortable pants, holding his gym bag. "Anna, I just put my wet clothes in my bag. I hate to say it, but it's getting late for a work night, and I need to head home. If you want, we can share emails during the week about your website design. We can also talk on the phone. Then, next Monday night, we can meet in person again to discuss everything." "That sounds good to me, Don." "You're right. It's getting late. I wished I had more time to spend with Don. He's made me want something." "All right. I'll see you next week, Anna." "Goodbye, Don. Thank you for your help. And I'm sorry about your clothes." Anna stood on her tiptoes and gave Don a quick kiss on the cheek. As she pulled back, she leaned in a little closer, blowing gently on his face like she was letting out a breath. It seemed like an accident, just like Anna had meant it to be. She liked seeing Don's cheeks turn red. "Thanks for stopping by. I can't wait to see you next week." "What should I cook for dinner this Wednesday for Don? He eats a lot of meat. How about some baked salmon, stuffed potatoes, asparagus, and mushrooms? Can't forget the mushrooms. Don really likes them. And for dessert, I'll make the cheesecake. Oh, the sound of cows." "Hi there, Bessie and friends. My therapist has really been helping me see things more clearly. I feel much better about myself and my mistakes. But I don't think I should tell him about my cow friends. He might think I'm crazy. I have another half-hour left on the treadmill. After that, I need to go shopping for dinner tonight, later at Don's apartment. Maria, I can't say enough how much I love coming home to a meal I didn't have to make." "Don, you've said that before. I know you like this, and after all the great meals you cooked for me, it truly makes me happy to do this for you." I had a good time at Don's again. He watched one movie with the three of us and then went to bed, which was becoming normal. He was even okay with my arm lightly touching his while we sat on the couch with his daughters. I made sure that they all knew the coming weekend would be fun in the mountains. We planned to meet at Don's at 6 p.m. to drive to my house. I hoped Freddie would come, but I wasn't sure about Kathy and Vanessa. In the end, only Freddie arrived at my apartment for our weekend trip to Maria's. The five of us all packed into Maria's SUV to head to the mountains. Maria was excited to start my horseback riding lessons on Saturday. She asked me to drive so she could play Yahtzee with my daughters. Freddie knew I wasn't a fan of driving, so she offered to help, but Maria and I quickly said no to her offer. I picked up a riding helmet at the lodge's ski shop, or maybe it was now a horse shop. Maria shot me a fiery look when I rushed to the cash register before her. She said my work boots weren't good enough. She told me that next Wednesday night, after my girls' therapy session, we would visit a saddle shop to get me a pair of proper riding boots. I believe she quietly mentioned something about getting Megan and Robin their own saddles. We will see about that. She's spending a lot on us, but maybe it is for safety and comfort. If that's the case, I will pay for it, unless she brings Roscoe along. Maria made sure I was ready with my teacher before the four of them went for their ride. Megan and Robin were so excited to move up to riding Maria's horses instead of the calmer ones from the lodge. I just wanted them to go already. It was a little embarrassing. Here I was, with my 11-year-old daughter trying to give me tips and help me relax. And Megan? She was just smiling and laughing. Nancy was in her office, ready to talk to us. "Don, I didn't get to be your ski teacher or see you much during the ski season. I just want to take a moment to thank you again for all the delicious food you made on New Year's Eve. Also, thank you, Maria, for inviting me. I would have just stayed home alone with the TV and a can of soda otherwise." Maria said, "I'm so happy you came, Nancy. Don made way too much food, and it was nice to have you there. If you really want to thank me for the food, please take it easy on me now." Nancy smiled. "I promise I will be nice. Do you have a favorite kind of horse?" "I like rocking horses." "Oh, you're different. I don't meet many people like you. Is this your idea, Maria?" "Don just stays home. He should get out more," Maria said. "All right, I'll help with that." She called out to the stable, "Henry, please get Joe ready." Maria looked sad while Megan and Robin began to giggle. "Nancy is going to put you on Joe. Ha 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 ha, he. I frowned at them. Just remember, don't laugh at the person who makes the pie and gives you your allowance. They just laughed even harder. An older guy walked out, leading a big, light brown horse. He was very tall, but he looked calm and friendly. Nancy said, "Don, this is Joe. He is the kindest, laziest, most easygoing horse in the stable. He often falls asleep with people on his back. Wow, that's just the kind of horse I like. He's a gelding, if you know what that means. Oh no, they removed his ability to breed, poor Joe. Since I was ready to go, my friends chose to get their own horses and ride off, even though the sun was right above us. Nancy stepped away for a minute to chat with Maria. I believe they were talking about adding rocket engines to the horses for a special trick at sunset. Can you believe it? My little girls are going to be astronauts someday, and I couldn't be prouder. Nancy didn't tie Joe to anything because he was just standing still. Sticking to my well-thought-out plan, I reached into my bag and took out an apple to bribe him. I found it tough to tell my friends and daughters why I wanted to bring my small gym bag. In the end, I told a little lie and said I had only packed a jacket and some water bottles. I quickly peeled the apple, sliced it into 4 pieces, and gently fed them to Joe. I think I even saw his eyes open a bit. I really liked this horse already. Nancy came back to give me more tips. She said, "While Joe is sleeping, get close to him so he can get used to your smell. Since he's asleep, it might take about 20 minutes for him to hear me. I'll come back then." She began to turn and leave. "Nancy," she looked back at me. "I wanted to give you something to say thank you for teaching me. I know you are in charge and usually don't work with beginners." I reached into my bag and took out 2 big Ziploc bags filled with cookies, one with regular chocolate chip and the other with white chocolate and macadamia nuts. I opened the bag of white chocolate and let the smell go toward Nancy. Her eyes widened, and Joe's did too. "Wow, Don, thank you. This is way better than bringing an apple for the teacher. I have apples as well, but I'm keeping those for the horse." She reached in, took a cookie, and bit into it. She started to walk away, then turned back to grab another cookie before finally leaving. I put both bags on her desk. Joe was looking at me with a hopeful face, but I wasn't sure if cookies were healthy for horses. I did have some sugar cubes, though. I gave him one. Then I took another apple, cut it into 4 pieces, and sprinkled a sugar cube on each piece. When I gave the apple to Joe, he closed his eyes again, but this time it looked like he was really enjoying it. When Nancy came back, she noticed that Joe seemed awake and was sniffing at me. She looked a bit curious. "You didn't give Joe a cookie, did you?" "No, I wasn't sure if it was okay for him." For the next couple of hours, with short breaks, Nancy showed me how to guide Joe, sit on him, and walk a horse. She kept reminding me to sit properly. It seems she's not fully convinced by me yet. Next time, I might need to bring the pie. After around 2 hours, my friends and family returned for a late lunch. When no one was paying attention, I slipped Joe another apple. We were going to be best friends. I was surprised to find that the Lodge restaurant had a really good Philly cheesesteak sandwich. In all the Western books I've read, they say you should feel sore after riding a horse for the first time. But I had barely ridden at all, and I made sure to stretch during every short break that Nancy gave me. I was a little bored, but I didn't feel bad. After lunch, Maria, Freddie, and my daughters went for another ride while I stayed with Joe. Before Nancy returned, I gave him another apple cut into small pieces. My plan was to give him one special treat at the start of the day, one regular treat at the end of a lesson, one when we started again, and one at the end of the day. I might have been wrong for not asking Nancy first, but I felt shy about it. How much should I reward my horse? That was what I was thinking when she saw me. "Don, what are you up to?" "Nothing, I'm just standing here, keeping to myself. I'm not doing anything wrong. And I would never try to entice Joe with apples without asking you first." "Oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that." She gave me a fierce look. "Don, how many apples did you not give to Joe today?" "I didn't give him 4 chopped and peeled apples." "Don, can I take a look at your bag?" I felt like a kid in elementary school being asked if I had enough snacks for everyone. She peeked inside the bag and chuckled. "What are you, a candy seller for horses? You've got 2 pounds of sugar cubes and a dozen apples in here." "I'm letting it go this time for 2 reasons. First, you brought cookies, and second, I've never seen Joe so full of energy. From now on, please give him just half an apple at a time, maybe 4 times each day. For sugar, limit it to just 2 small cubes each day. Since you brought cookies, I won't tell Maria and your girls about how you sweet-talked my horses." "Thanks, Nancy." Phew, I got lucky again. But if Joe gets sick, guess who I'll ask to clean out his stall? Oh no, that could be messy. When we returned home from riding, I was surprised to see Carl and Lucille there. They had cooked dinner for us, making grilled salmon, red potatoes, fresh spinach, and cornbread. For dessert, Lucille made a cherry cobbler. After we tidied up the dinner mess, Carl and Lucille came to join us for our dance lessons. I was really surprised. They both danced very well, and Carl was especially good. After dancing, Carl and I enjoyed some beer and played a card game called Gin, while Lucille watched a movie with the other girls. When they finished, I was told to change into my pajamas and sit with them to watch An American in Paris. After just one movie, I managed to leave and go to bed while they kept watching more romantic comedies. I had a feeling this would be our new summer routine, but it seemed I wouldn't be able to avoid watching at least one romantic comedy with them. Over the weekend, I talked a little with Freddie about Anna because Anna seemed to know everything about Freddie. She hesitantly said she knew Anna, but it seemed to me they weren't really friends. On Monday night, Don went over to Anna's house again. He was surprised when she opened the door. She looked fantastic, as if she was getting ready for a night out. She wore a short skirt and a snug blouse with one button left undone, nice jewelry and high heels. "Hi, Don. I'm sorry for how I look. I was meeting a key customer, and a bit of light flirting can help make a sale. Sometimes it feels like I'm putting myself out there too much, but things are hard right now. To keep my business alive, I have to promote myself in a way. But really, it's just promoting. I would never go too far. If I had a husband or even a boyfriend, I wouldn't use these tactics. I hope I didn't lose your respect with what I just said. No, as long as you stick to just flirting, I can't say you're doing anything wrong. It's actually pretty smart, and I can see the value in that." "Great! I really like you, Don, and I would hate to lose your respect." "Joanne, you clever girl, you understand Don well. Now let's see if the rest of your plan works too." During Anna's workday, she didn't have any men to impress. Her two customers were older women. "Let's head to my office. You can show me what you've done," Don said. For the next 2 hours, Don and Anna worked together to make final changes to her website. Anna was really happy with Don's work and couldn't find many things she wanted to change about the design. The small suggestions she gave to Don were happily agreed to, and she was thankful for his effort to make her happy with his work. However, Don was facing some challenges. Anna still hadn't changed out of her stunning clothes. She was also sitting close to him so they could both see the screen. The combination of that and her perfume was making it a bit hard for him to focus. Anna was really happy with how he was responding to her. Don's face was a bit red, and he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Anna, I don't mean to be rude, and I truly apologize. Your dress, the way you are close to me, and your nice scent are wonderful, but they are making it hard for me to think clearly." "They are?" she asked with a curious smile. She moved even closer to Don and gently wrapped her arm around his. He turned to her in surprise, and she quickly kissed him on the cheek. "If you can still focus, I must not be doing well. Should we return to work and see if I can improve?" She then pretended to look at the computer screen and used the mouse to switch to a different page. Don was completely confused by Anna's behavior. "Is she interested in me tonight? Do I want to be close with someone I hardly know? What about safe practices? Does she have any protection? I really don't know. Is she wearing that outfit to catch my attention no matter what she said before?" Don's head was spinning with questions, thoughts, and confusing feelings. Anna, on the other hand, was thinking about what to do next. She had a few choices for her plan. Don might be feeling so excited that he would kiss her strongly. If that happened, she would give in to his charm and let him take the lead in their moment together. Option 2 was to get cozy with Don, leaning against him, playfully touching his foot and giving him soft kisses. Or, at that moment, Don's phone rang. If either of them had looked out the front window, they might have noticed Freddie's car parked down the street. Q's cell phone had completely taken over Don's phone, giving her full control of it. One important example was that his phone was now a handy little listening device. Don had basically bugged himself. When the two women heard how Don and Anna were talking, they quickly sent a text to Megan. She was ready to call her dad in a hurry. "Daddy, it's so bad. All my homework files disappeared. I've been working on this project for months, and it's due tomorrow." "What should I do, Daddy?" she cried out while having a wild Nerf gun fight with her sister. Don, hearing this, felt a mix of relief and frustration. He replied, "I'm coming, sweetie. Just give me half an hour and I'll be home." Don thought about how he had saved most of Megan's and Robin's work at home. Plus, he could access Megan's computer from where he lived and likely get back most of her files that way. But if things got really bad, he would go back to that woman's house to help his child. Okay, Daddy, I'll be waiting for you. Please hurry. It's so late and I'm so tired. I would have to spend all night trying to finish all that work again. Just then, Robin fired almost 20 shots from the new toy gun that Maria had got her. Megan was really annoyed. Maria better get me something nice for my birthday or I'm going to keep getting in trouble. Bye. I'm heading home now. Don stood up, picked up his things, and hurried to the front door. Anna watched, shocked that her plans were crumbling so quickly. Anna, you know I need to help my daughter. We've almost finished the website. If you want any more changes, just call me and I'll fix them. I'm sorry, but I have to go. Bye, Don said quickly as he left through the front door. Goodbye, Don, she replied, calling after him. Once the door was shut, she began to shout, "Oh, this is so frustrating!" Don quickly fixed Megan's issues by connecting to her computer from his home. After that, he took a nice long shower and fell asleep listening to music from his CD player next to his bed. There were just 2 songs on the CD, but he had it play on repeat and set to turn off after an hour. By that time, he usually fell asleep. On Tuesday afternoon, Don's phone rang. Hi, Don, it's Anna. Did I call you at a bad time? No, it's okay, Anna. Is something wrong with the website? No, Don, the website is great. I called to say I'm sorry if I came on too strong the other night. Anna, I appreciated it, but I have to be honest, it was a bit much for me. Honestly, I don't have much experience with girls, and you made me a bit nervous. Oh, Don, I'm sorry if I bothered you, but I find you really interesting. Would you want to meet up for a casual evening, maybe just coffee and a movie? Anna, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm just a little new to this kind of thing, but I'm open to it. A nice, simple evening sounds like a great idea. Can we meet on Thursday evening? Thursday works great. The theater in town is showing a new version of the movie The African Queen at 7. There is a nice outdoor cafe across the street where we can meet at 6. That way we can enjoy the evening. That sounds great, Anna. I'll see you at 6. Thank you for giving me another chance, Don. I can't wait for Thursday. See you later. Okay, bye, Anna. MI5. Office in Seattle, Washington, Tuesday evening. Bond and Moneypenny walked into the office. M was already sitting down. Q, wearing her old suit, stood nearby with a smile. The sounds of boats and cars filled the office. Kathy, who was also known as Bond, and Moneypenny turned to the window, seeing a beautiful view of the Thames River with a low bridge crossing over it. They both quickly figured out that it was a tall LCD screen showing the live scene. Q smiled even more and said proudly, "It's live, too." M began to speak. "That's enough of that. We've got an emergency." Based on what we heard from Don's phone calls, it seems Anna has convinced Don to go on a date with her. If Maria learns about this, it will break her heart. We need to stop this from happening. We have to ensure Anna never tries this again, and if she does, Don must say no. Q, please take action. Q leaned down, grabbed a guitar case, and placed it on M's desk. When he opened it, inside was a strange-looking device made of shiny steel and black plastic. I call this the skunk gun. It currently works well in most weather and can reach about 120 feet. It sprays a gel that can turn into a mist depending on the conditions. The gel smells really bad. A mix I made that is like skunk spray, but about 3 times stronger. Do either of you know how to use a rifle? Both Bond and Moneypenny shook their heads, saying no. M then said, "I've taken part in a few biathlon events. I suppose that means I'll be the one doing the shooting. I believe we need 2 things for this to work well. A safe spot to shoot from, like a window in an office across the street, and a way to arrange where Anna and Don sit at the bistro. We already know we can move him out of the area using the same trick with the cell phone that we used before. We have 2 days to figure out how to get these things done." I've been doing really well with my paintings lately, and Don has helped a lot. I also expect to get a good amount of money from my lawsuit against Harris. So I'm ready to give $2,000 to help our cause. If we need more, I can give even more. Helga, could you please show Kathy and Vanessa where the bistro is and what the area looks like? Q looked unhappy for a moment because Freddie was not acting like himself. She let out a sigh and leaned forward, typing something on her laptop. The screen changed to show a view of the bistro and the buildings around it. "Does anyone have any thoughts?" M asked. Vanessa was the first to speak. The office building next to the bistro looks pretty old, and I bet their windows can open. With how tough the economy is, many office buildings are really looking for new tenants. We can likely rent an office or a meeting room for one night, or maybe for a month if needed. It's an old place, so it should not cost too much. We just need to check that the room we rent is within the range for the skunk gun. Kathy added, "For getting them a good table, we can bring in our friends. When Don and Anna arrive, we can make sure a table or two in the right spots suddenly opens up." The bistro likely does most of its business during lunch. So, on a work night, I doubt many people will be fighting with Don and Anna for a table. The only issue is that we have to find folks who can stay quiet and are free to join us. I have about 5 or 6 friends from college who are having a tough time and would help out for a free meal at the bistro. I think we will need at least 20 people or more to make this work. Once we send Anna away, our pretend customers can tell Don when he comes back that she left for no reason. I still think about what she did to Maria years ago, not to mention what she has done lately. Maria has been much more careful these days, so they must have hired someone to watch her. Maria is kind and good-hearted, but she worries too much about what others think. Maria has helped many people over the years, but I believe we are the only ones among her so-called friends who don't talk behind her back or spread hurtful stories about her. Don seems like a quiet and shy person, but we all know he is very strong when it comes to protecting the ones he cares about. Once they became a couple, anyone talking bad about Maria better be careful. Freddie, or M as we call him, said, "I have at least 8 people I trust, maybe even 12 who will keep quiet about it." "I only have 2 or 3 that I really trust," Vanessa replied. "Ha ha. Just to see this in action, I have over 20 people who would pay to be at that bistro. Some of them even have badges," Q said with a big smile. "Okay, it looks like we have a plan," someone else added. "Vanessa, please try to set up the room. Call me if you need help. I think I should practice with the skunk gun for the next few days. We should all try our best to bring in customers for the bistro. Since Maria told us we were going to the saddle shop after therapy today, I've been looking online. I didn't know how important good boots are for staying safe." It was a nice surprise that Barbara had bought Megan and Robin good riding boots. I would not have thought to do that myself. Lately, I noticed that their boots seemed a bit tight and they might need new ones. The only issue was that I knew if I told Maria about it, she would want to buy the boots for my girls. I read online that young girls often grow out of their riding gear quickly. Because of this, there are many good used items available. Buying used equipment makes more sense for someone who will likely need new gear in just a few months to a year. I really dislike waste. I understand that kids prefer things that are new and shiny, but I still really dislike waste. On Tuesday night, I talked on the phone with Megan and Robin for about 40 minutes. I explained what I found out from my research. There was a good chance we would see some used equipment when we went to the store. I wanted them to think carefully before they made a choice. Maria drove us on Wednesday night. I was anxious that the therapy session would keep us from getting to the store on time, and we would have to hurry while shopping. "Don't worry, Don. I come to this shop at least once a year. They would be happy to stay open a little longer so we can look around if it means selling us 3 pairs of boots and 2 saddles," she said confidently. I got it now. She planned to spend a lot of money, and she even brought Roscoe with her to make sure everything went her way. One of these days, I'm going to take a self-defense class for chickens, and then the chickens better watch out. If a chicken comes at you, do you A, run away shouting, B, grab the barbecue sauce, C, call for backup, or D, show respect to the mighty chicken god? We went into the shop, and everyone was friendly. One salesperson helped me, while the other stayed with Maria. I felt proud of my girls when they asked the salesperson about used boots and saddles. This seemed to earn them a bit of respect from the sales lady, and even Maria was surprised. Maria mostly stuck with my girls, but she did come back to me for a moment. I think she saw that I was looking at the less expensive boots. She talked quietly with the woman helping me. The woman then got up and brought back 3 different pairs of boots for me to try on. I also asked if there were any used boots, but I was told that none in my size were still in good condition. Maria began to pay for everything. When I tried to chip in, she asked Robin, who was holding her things, to give her Roscoe. At that moment, I gave up. My boots were over $300. What she spent on our girls' equipment was more than $1,500. Maria was really happy when we returned to the car and put our bags inside. We found such a good deal on those saddles. They're old but well cared for and look almost new. When they were new, they cost over $2,000 each. They're way better than beginner saddles, too. Robin's used boots were a great bargain as well. There was a lovely pair of boots that almost fit Megan, but they were just a little too small. She hugged our girls tightly. My kids are really clever. Not many girls who are 12 or 13 would think to ask about old equipment. Megan and Robin both looked a bit shy, so I put my finger to my lips, telling them that I wanted this talk about old equipment to stay between us. They learned something important tonight. New is not always better, and with how this shopping trip went, especially Maria's reaction, I don't think they will forget it anytime soon. On Thursday evening, Dawn saw Anna as she walked up to the bistro. Sadly, it was very crowded and there was a short line, but when they arrived, the people in line just walked away. Dawn guessed that they must have grown tired of waiting. Suddenly, a quiet table in the corner by the street became available. Dawn noticed that many of the customers had short haircuts like soldiers. He ordered a cup of coffee and a piece of baklava. Anna only ordered coffee. She liked watching Dawn and thought about all the fun things they could do together. She even thought about making some secret videos of them to send to Maria just for old times. Sure, here's the text rewritten using simpler language and a straightforward style. Maybe I'll ask Joanne to join us. A video of that would probably surprise Maria, she thought happily. Dawn, thank you for meeting with me after how I acted on Monday. Anna, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I just haven't been on many dates, so I'm not sure how to behave. Freddie looked down at them and pointed the laser rangefinder at Anna. The report said it was 105 feet away. The wind was light, coming from the northwest. The temperature was steady at 72 degrees, just right for spraying the gel. She thought to herself, they will see what I can do. Vanessa had picked a great spot for the shot. Meanwhile, Dawn and Anna talked for a while as they enjoyed their coffee. Dawn had been wishing that being in a busy place would help him feel less awkward about Anna. But it wasn't helping. Why do I feel like she's a hunter and I'm the caught one? He started to worry that this date might be another bad choice when out of the blue his phone rang. Daddy, it's Megan. I have a problem. Hiss. Crackle. Darn it, I need to get a new phone. This old one is acting strange. Don, you can borrow my phone, said his friend. No thanks, but it wouldn't help. Megan has told me that she's been getting weird calls from some jokers at her school. She won't pick up if the number isn't familiar. I'll be back soon. I just need to take a quick walk to find better signal. Dawn left quickly. Anna took a small envelope from her pocket, unsure if she would actually use it. Inside was a crushed-up pill that could help with excitement. It wasn't a magic love potion, but Anna and her friend Joanne thought it might encourage Dawn to be more loving. Then she spotted his delicious baklava sitting there, and Dawn was nowhere to be found. Freddie carefully aimed the laser sight at Dawn's date for the night. If you try to take Dawn away, she thought, you won't succeed. Q had explained to Freddie that there were 3 ways to use the gun loaded with this special stink gel. The first way was to aim directly at the target when the temperature was below 64 degrees Fahrenheit and the target was less than 100 feet away. In this case, the gel would hit the target and splash on anyone close by. The second way was to shoot at something nearby, preferably above the target. This would cause the gel to splash down and reach the target. The third method, which was the best for staying hidden, could only be used when the temperature was above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It worked best when the target was more than 100 feet away, but less than 120 feet away. In these conditions, you aim straight at the target, and the gel mixture will turn into a quick small cloud or mist just before reaching the target. Just one loud noise could make even the toughest criminal or terrorist rush to the nearest shower while quickly taking off their clothes. Freddie was really angry with Anna. She had been quietly trying to ruin Maria's good name, and when she learned about Dawn, she tried to take him away for herself. It was not unexpected that Freddie shot her 3 times. The gun was fast, firing each round in less than a second. However, after the first shot, Freddie stopped for a moment to see how Anna reacted. The first bullet aimed at the back of Anna's head, and the next 2 hit her back when she stood up. When the first shot hit, Anna's nose wrinkled at the smell, and a look of disgust crossed her face. Trying hard not to be sick, she stood up just as the second wave hit her. Suddenly, she felt the need to vomit and ended up getting sick all over the table in front of her. That's when the third wave hit. Her face showed pure shock and disgust. "What is that smell? It's everywhere." "Oh no!" she cried, her body trembling as she heaved again. The other customers at the outdoor cafe hurried to move away from her and the terrible smell. They started making sounds of disgust and shouting mean words about Anna, since she was clearly the reason for the smell. "Oh my God, how can a woman smell like that? Is she part skunk? She smells like a whole group of animals mixed with skunks." This was worse than the time she fell off the catwalk in Los Angeles, and she still thought Maria was to blame for that. Where was that awful smell coming from? She felt sick again and threw up on her own clothes. "I have to get away. Maybe if I get away, the smell will vanish." Anna ran toward her car, feeling sick because of the vomit on her clothes. She was sure some of the bad smell came from them. In her rush, she started to pull off her dress, not worrying at all about showing her body to everyone around. A group of young men on the street first cheered when they saw her dance, but when she got closer, their excitement turned to disgust. "Ugh, I think I'm going to be sick," they all said. Anna felt a mix of anger and fear. She was upset about what was happening and furious at those laughing at her. "Why is this happening to me? Don't you all know that I could have been a supermodel if it weren't for Maria? You are worthless, all of you. I will make you pay for this." Just as she was getting to her car, Anna was rushing in her high heels. She lost her balance and fell into a big stack of trash bags next to a dumpster. Some nice people might have stayed quiet and offered to help her. But sadly for Anna, the ones nearby were the troublemakers from the local high school. They started laughing loudly and making fun of her. "Hey there! Are you trying to smell better by playing in the trash? Or are you hoping for a date with a dog?" shouted one boy. Some trash bags had split open, and stinky food scraps from a nearby restaurant had gotten all over Anna's clothes. It took her a while to climb out of the big pile of garbage, and she ended up losing one of her shoes. Hoping to get away quickly, she limped her way to her favorite Porsche. She was in a rush to get inside and go home. She didn't realize what would happen when she shut the car door, trapping herself inside with the bad smell. Without fresh air to help, the odor became much stronger. Anna felt sick and suddenly threw up all over the dashboard of her car. In a mix of anger and disgust, she rolled down all the windows and sped away, her tires screeching. She had to grip the steering wheel, now covered in what she had just thrown up. "I'm never getting close to Don again. He's just bad news. I'll think of another way to get back at Maria. What is that awful smell?" Freddie, happy with how things went, used the special cloth her sister had given her to clean the tip of the barrel. After putting the gun into the changed guitar case, she finally took off her mask. When she turned to her friends, they all burst out laughing. They couldn't see Anna anymore as she turned the corner towards the parking lot, but what they had seen was even better than they had expected. Helga wanted to keep a good record of how well her gun worked, so she set up hidden cameras along the path from the bistro to the nearby parking lot. Freddie was excited to watch the videos they recorded. After Anna went away, the cafe workers came over to the table. They were unsure but noticed that the bad smell was mostly gone. Though it was still a bit yucky, they could clean up the mess quickly. Don came back from his phone call with Megan. He looked around and saw that his date was missing. The table was tidy, and there didn't seem to be any reason for it. He asked people at other tables, but nobody knew where Anna had gone. They only said she got up and walked away without a word. Most of the other customers in the bistro tonight were part of a plan. They were all saying what Freddie and Helga had told them to say when talking to Don. The waiters at the cafe had their hands full. They were busy with many new orders from the tables farthest from where Don usually sat. 3 chances and you're done, Don thought. It might be a good thing, though it really hurts my pride. 2 girls I went out with left me during our dates, and another made up a silly reason to avoid me. I guess I should get ready to be single forever. Don chose to leave and decided not to call Anna at all. She had his number if she wanted to call him. At the same time, Q set up Don's phone to block all calls from Anna's cell, home, and work numbers. This time, only Vanessa joined us for our trip to the mountains. It was very similar to our weekend with Freddie. However, my girls were excited to use their new saddles, and I learned to walk and even trot a little with Joe. On Sunday morning, there was a huge Nerf gun battle. It started very early, and everyone except me was in their pajamas. The fun went on until almost the time we had to leave. Around 10 in the morning, I told Maria I thought it was time to stop. I thought she wanted to do some more riding that day, but then she shot me with a Nerf gun. On the way home, I was the only one awake. I started to think about how long they had been playing. We ladies woke up early on Sunday morning in the movie room. We headed to the kitchen to sneak a slice of the pie. While we enjoyed our snack, we talked about the Nerf gun battles we had been having recently. Vanessa seemed curious about our collection of Nerf guns. I'm not sure who started it all, but soon we agreed that it was time to wake up Don. I had no idea that he kept a Nerf gun under his pillow. What a sneaky guy. Over the weekend, Don shared a little bit about a date he went on last Thursday. It seems he wasn't too sure about the girl from the start. The way she canceled on him reminded him of how Eva treated him. Don mentioned that the woman was a friend of Freddie's. She needed help with building a website, and it turns out she knew Freddie from when she was a model. He talked about how he didn't feel very good about the woman, but he decided to go on a date with her anyway because he wanted to learn. I remember thinking, I can show you what you really need to know. He was feeling pretty down about it, but I just couldn't bring myself to make him feel better about a date that didn't go well when I was actually glad it didn't work out. I felt a mix of relief and worry. It was good that things went wrong for Don on his dates, but I started to think my friends might be trying to mess things up for him. I didn't want to ask them about it because that made me nervous. If they really were doing this, I would struggle to keep it from Don. So many people have hidden things from him before. I'm hiding my own past from him for a little while longer, but it's still my story to tell. I don't think I could hide it if I knew others were causing trouble for him, even if it helped me. Don and I had been planning all week for Megan's birthday party. We had to make sure Robin didn't find out because she always told her older sister everything. On Wednesday night, Megan carefully asked what we would do special next week. Don replied, "Well, sweetie, your birthday is on Tuesday, so since you have school the next day, I thought we could have a small party here on Wednesday night." Don is quite sneaky. You could see Megan's mood drop, and I wanted to support him, so I just nodded wisely and said, "That makes sense because it is a school night." Robin was surprised by my answer and tried her best to make her sister feel better. It was really nice to see while Megan tried hard to hide her sadness. The next weekend, when we drove to the mountains, it was just the four of us. Don made sure to leave all the Nerf guns at home. He said things had gotten a bit too wild last time. Before that moment, I think Megan secretly hoped we were throwing her a surprise party. I could see how disappointed she was when we dashed her hopes. It made me really sad to put her in that position. When we got to our mountain house, Megan felt so down that she went to bed early with Robin instead of staying up with me to watch a movie. If this doesn't go well, I'm going to be really upset with Don. The next morning, I told my little ones to wake up. They looked really down, and Robin seemed even sadder than Megan. We had taken them to a fancy restaurant in a nice car, but now it felt like we were forgetting Megan's sister's birthday. My kids could hardly eat their breakfast, and I felt so sorry for them that I couldn't eat either. Don, however, was eating his food quickly, like it was the last meal on earth. He even winked at me when the girls weren't watching. What a cheeky guy. I wonder if he will still be playful like this when we are married. I like that idea, but I hope it's not just a daydream. We went to the garage to get in my SUV, and instead of pressing the garage door button, I accidentally turned on the overhead light. "Surprise! Happy birthday, Megan!" everyone shouted. Standing there were Vanessa, Freddie, Kathy, Carl, Lucille, and Nancy. I reached behind a toolbox and grabbed my new Nerf gun like Helga. It didn't seem like much, but it was really cool. Megan turned to me, and with a playful smile, I said, "Do you feel lucky?" Robin looked even more excited than her sister, which I didn't think was possible. In the garage, there were tables filled with all their Nerf toys. Our friends had picked them up at Don's place earlier today on their way over. At other tables, there were more Nerf guns for our guests. On the table with Megan's guns, there was a big box wrapped up. I nodded at the box to get Megan's attention. "You'll open the rest of your gifts later, but we thought you might like to have this one today." She rushed over to open it, but you could see she felt a bit let down. It didn't look as neat as the gun I got for Robin. Megan, I need to explain. That gun was made by Freddie's sister, Helga, just like Robin's gun. She named it Nerf Storm and said she got the idea from a real gun system called Metal Storm. The gun I have and yours are the same. Instead of putting a magazine into the gun, you switch out the big barrel. The big barrel is really a set of 7 smaller barrels that you load in advance. One shot is really 7 Nerf darts. The gun has 6 places for shots, so 7 darts times 6 places equals 42 darts. I aimed the gun at Don. Now you can take 1 shot, I said as I fired a single shot at Don with 7 darts. He fell over dramatically. Or you could shoot all 42 darts in under 2 seconds. I moved the switch to the highest setting and fired the last 35 darts into Don's body. Just then, Megan's eyes sparkled, and she began tearing the wrapping off her own gun. Helga gave you 4 big extra barrels, and you can switch them really quickly. I showed Megan everything she needed to know to use her gun. Then the game started. Carl made sure Lucille had one of those Nerf guns with a belt, and she really enjoyed aiming and shooting at people. We never went horseback riding that day. At lunchtime, everyone agreed to take a break while Don, Carl, and Lucille made lunch. After lunch, we went outside to play for a bit, but we kept losing our darts, so we decided to go back inside. It's important to keep things in order, right? For dinner, we enjoyed Dungeness crab, which is a long-time favorite. Don baked a big cake for the birthday celebration. We had to call him a non-combatant for a while so he could focus on baking. Just like with Robin, Megan received her usual gifts. And like before, I gave her a shiny platinum locket. It was a bit different, but the same writing and a matching picture. I worried she might not like getting a gift that looked so much like Robin's, but I felt happy when I saw her so excited. We enjoyed another fun movie night. Don made 3 pies for us. He and Carl stayed in the kitchen until 3 in the morning. They kept bringing us pies while they played cards and drank beer. The next day, we got to go horseback riding before it was time to go home. For dinner that night, Don cooked his special burgers and fries, and for dessert, we enjoyed the amazing cheesecake. However, there was one thing that bothered me that weekend. Lucille wanted to talk to me about Don and his dating issues. It seemed that Don had a bit too much to drink on Saturday night and shared some things with Carl, who then told his wife. She sat me down and gently said, "Maria, I care about you like you are my own daughter. That man thinks he will be alone forever. You shared some of his past with me, so I understand why he hasn't told you how he feels, but you don't have a reason to hold back." Then she gave me some bold advice about what I should do next. I couldn't help but wonder if she talked to her real daughters like this too. I realized I was running out of time if I wanted to be with Donald, and I really did. I knew I had to take a step forward. I wasn't even that fond of the woman, but I felt low after being turned down 3 times. I really didn't think I could take it any longer. Trying to look good and having practice dates just wasn't helping me. None of my 3 real dates lasted longer than 30 minutes, and one of them was called off before it even began. I believe it's time for me to stop trying to change myself. I have some money, so maybe I should think about getting a bride from another country. I don't want to be alone as I get older. It would be nice to find a woman who would be willing to be with a guy like me. I know some people do find real love this way, but it also feels really scary. I won't know how my future wife truly feels for a long time. Plus, I worry about what my daughters and friends would think. These were my thoughts as I made my way to the front door on Wednesday evening. "All right, Don, it's time to get ready. Your kids are back home, and Maria wants to have another birthday party for Megan the day after her actual birthday. She said she would make lasagna with all the sides, so put on a happy face and make it a great day for all of them." Don walked through the front door. Tonight was the night. It was time to start the plan to get Don, marry Don. "Come here, little bird, the kitty is hungry. To change things up, I baked a Black Forest cake for dessert tonight. Robin and Maria had been admiring it, and I had to send them out of the kitchen. I made them a plate of vegetables and cheese for a snack after school, but they didn't seem too pleased with it. Well, too bad. It was time for them to eat something healthier. There would be lots of grease, melted cheese, fat, and sweets for dinner. "Welcome home, Don. How was your day?" "It was okay, but I'm starting to think I could use my time better. Richard and I have been discussing my plans and making some changes. He is using them now, and he has been pushing me to be bolder in my own trading. If I choose that option, I will need to watch the market more closely. I'll also have to be ready to make decisions quickly. He believes I would earn more money this way compared to my current job, but I prefer to play it safe with my investments. That's something I really need to think about. Wow, what you're making smells amazing, and you look really nice. I had to pause and gather my thoughts as he shifted topics so quickly, but I was glad he noticed the delicious smells and my new outfit. I had picked it out just for him the other day. It was the kind of outfit that showed I cared and wanted to impress. I couldn't push any boundaries with Megan and Robin around, but I could suggest a lot with my new clothes. Dinner went well, and then we surprised Megan with a few more small gifts. I gave her a lovely pair of earrings, and Dawn gave her some gift cards for the mall. After that, we went downstairs for dance lessons. As expected, the girls got bored and went back upstairs first, just like I had planned. When they left, I turned on the CD player and played Moon River on repeat. Dawn, I've been thinking. You haven't gone on a practice date with me yet. Would you like to go dancing with me this Thursday? Maria, I've been thinking about that too. You're a great person, and I would really like to go out with you. But after what happened with me and those 3 other women, I'm starting to question if I can ever be attractive to anyone. Oh, Dawn, please don't think like that. Oh, no. I hope you don't really feel that way. I'm sure my friends have been joking around on your dates. I know at least 10 other women who have met you and are excited about the idea of you being free, but you just don't see it. I need to lift your mood like Lucille said I should. Come on, Dawn. I believe there is someone special for you out there. Just let me help you, all right? I'll do anything for you, Maria, you know that. But I might not be great company. Will that be okay? That's all right, Dawn. I'm sure we'll have a great time together. What can you cook for dinner? Oh, no! I'm falling into the same old habits again. I guess I need to talk about this with my therapist, too. Dawn looked at me and burst out laughing. He couldn't help it. He had to pull away from me and bent forward, holding his knees. He just kept chuckling. When he finally calmed down, he would glance at my face and start laughing all over again. I didn't think it was that funny. What I really should have done was spend the whole day at Don's place and maybe make him dinner. But I wanted the same practice date that others had. I wanted to arrive at his apartment looking my best. I wanted a nice kiss at the door, but a more exciting one would be even better. I wanted Don to make dinner for me, and I wanted to take him to the club in my shiny new car, and that is exactly what I was after. I got to the place right at 6 o'clock. I wore a short green dress that was nice and shiny, and I put on the jewelry that Don had gotten me. I wanted to catch Don's attention and make him amazed when he saw me. I had thought a lot about what I asked Don to make for me tonight, too. I didn't want anything too oily to eat because I knew he would answer the door in his cooking clothes. I wanted him to look really nice when he opened the door, and he did. He answered the door wearing the tight white dress shirt I had bought for him. He had on a blue-gray tie that matched his eyes perfectly, along with his gray suit pants. Wow, I'm definitely going to be late getting home tonight. We just looked at each other for what felt like forever. Then I noticed his lips moving, starting to sing the words to that annoying song again. I'm going to put a hit out on Joe Cocker. I wanted him to stop, so I kissed him gently on the lips. It wasn't very long, but it wasn't short enough to feel friendly either. I might have accidentally brushed my lips against his a tiny bit, but I promise it was not on purpose. I stepped back from Don, and his eyes looked a bit distant. He just stood there, looking off into the distance for a moment. Finally, he spoke up, wow, stretching it out like a train letting off steam. I couldn't help but think, am I really that good? One of these days, Don, I'm going to show you how great I can be. I wanted to grab his tie and pull him into his apartment, then go into his bedroom. But that would be moving too fast for a first date. Don might see this as just another silly practice date, but I really didn't feel that way at all. Today was the first day of hunting season, and I had my target picked out. There was no way he was getting away this time. Don, aren't you going to invite me in? I asked with a friendly smile. Oh, maybe. Sure, come in. I'm sorry, I was just lost in thought about work and got a bit mixed up. Right, I believe that. Come on in, Maria. Wow, you look amazing. Yep, he was definitely impressed. I hope he has enough paper towels to wipe up any mess. Is dinner ready yet, Don? I asked. It will be in 10 minutes. I didn't want it to get cold, he replied. Great, I said, and walked over to his music player to put in a Eurythmics CD. I thought the music fit my mood and the night perfectly. I really liked Dawn, and even though I wasn't quite ready to say it openly, I would try my best to show it in every way I could. Dawn made a fantastic dinner. It wasn't the usual heavy meal he liked, but something healthy that he could cook easily. He made baked salmon, baked potatoes, asparagus, and a special pie for dessert. He had to bake the pie last night after I asked him to. I worried he might need to keep Robin and Megan from sneaking a taste, and I almost had to call in Roscoe to help protect it. Megan was really excited that I was finally going on a date with her dad, but Robin wasn't sure how she felt about it yet, so she was a bit unsure. After dinner, we both took our time brushing our teeth. You definitely don't want to go on a date with food stuck in your teeth. We stepped out of the apartment and I showed Don my new car. He felt surprised. It was a Lexus ISF, a shiny silver color. "What happened to your SUV?" he asked. "Oh, I still have it, but I wanted something that drives better. I really wanted a Mercedes, but they don't make a small car for 4 people, so this was the best I could find for now." He kindly opened the car door for me. I accidentally showed a bit too much when I sat down in the driver's seat. "Oh dear, how clumsy of me. Come here, little birdie. I just want to take a small taste." I didn't look at Don, but I could hear him breathe in deeply and then let it out with a big sigh. "I'm going absolutely crazy. I know this is just a practice date, and I know that Maria isn't interested in me, but wow, how much can a guy take before he loses it? I feel like Bluto after Popeye gives him a powerful punch." I felt nervous about getting into that car for my date with Maria. I wasn't sure if I could keep my feelings in check, but there was no way I was going to back out. Nothing could stop me. I got into the passenger seat, and Maria looked at me with a funny expression since I had taken my time. I just needed a moment to calm down. The inside of the car was lovely, and I leaned back in my seat, enjoying the experience. Something felt unusual. There were shiny controls on the steering wheel. Maria noticed where I was looking. "These are called paddle shifters, Don. They make it easier to change gears since you don't have to let go of the wheel when you're going fast." She then smiled kindly at me. "Freddie has been helping me with some driving lessons for the past couple of weeks, too." Oh, no. I think Don kept his eyes closed for the first 10 minutes. I wasn't driving very fast at all, definitely not like Freddie does. When we got to the club, I really wished Vanessa hadn't tossed out Don's special card. It would have made finding a parking spot a lot easier. Once we walked inside, someone showed us to a table where we put our things before hitting the dance floor. As we danced, we took a break after every 6 songs or so. Eva dropped by for a short visit, but I can't recall much of what she said or how we replied. No one stopped by to talk to us like they did when Vanessa was with Don, but that was fine. We had a great time on the dance floor. Sometimes we got a bit carried away and did some funny dance moves that people usually call dancing. I remember hearing Moon River play a lot that night. When we remembered what we were doing, I think we put on a good show. I was really surprised when Eva came over to our table late that night. I noticed that the music had stopped, and I realized it had been quiet for a while. It caught me off guard for some reason. "Maria and Don, we're about to close, so I'm sorry, but you'll need to go. Here's a special card for your next visit. And don't worry about your drinks or the tip. That has all been taken care of. I really hope to see you here again soon." Don and I glanced around the room. It was completely quiet and empty except for the 2 of us. I checked my watch and noticed it was nearly 40 minutes past closing time. How did that happen? "Oh, Eva, I'm really sorry if we made things hard for you," Don said, sharing my feelings. "We didn't see that you were closing." "Don't worry. You haven't caused me any trouble at all. I think this place will be full for weeks with women bringing their partners just to catch a glimpse of you 2. "You can return whenever you want," she said casually as she walked away, leaving Don and me in surprised silence. Things were going smoothly at the club when Eva saw Don enter with a new date. It took her a moment to remember the woman's name. "Oh yes, that's Maria," she thought. Maria had been staying out of the spotlight for a while since some of her personal choices had become known. Eva felt a little sad that she hadn't been able to catch Don's attention, but she knew she would meet someone else. She always did. She was impressed by the dance show that the couple put on. Their connection was clear and magical. They showed everyone else how it was done. The other guests were captivated by their skill. Then, when the band began to play Moon River, The couple moved closer together and shared a warm embrace on the dance floor. At the end of the song, they walked back to their table holding hands. Usually, when a couple dances so beautifully, other couples come over to say nice things and talk. But around these two, it felt like there was a barrier, and no one wanted to bother them. Eva walked over slowly and had to speak loudly to be noticed by them. It was even harder to get them to respond. After some time, she realized that Don either did not have his VIP card or had never gotten one at all. She planned to fix that problem, but they only needed one card. That night, she and her guests enjoyed themselves a lot. Whenever Don and Maria danced, someone would give the band a 20 to play Moon River. The moment the song started, they would hold each other close. Once the song ended, they would stroll away, holding hands for a few songs before coming back. The band must have played Moon River at least 10 times that night. They lingered a bit longer to play the song again, just to help the couple find their table. Eva had never witnessed a couple so deeply in love. It made her curious if they even realized how much they cared for each other. If only I could capture what they share, I could make a fortune, she thought. She would happily enjoy a whole lot of it herself. This made her reflect on her ex-husband. He had truly been a good man, and that thought surprised her. Hey, audience! If you liked this video and want to keep up with more thrilling stories, make sure to subscribe to Prince Cheating Tales and hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss out on our upcoming adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next wonderful story.